years ago, or wherever the case may be. We know that Bill came in here and did a ridiculous piece of journalism, talked to nobody that had issues with Kim Gardner, just talked to people who fed him the narrative that this was all about race. It was never all about race. It was about someone that sucked at her job so bad that she's still fighting for her license right now because it should be removed. But Bill Whitaker, so if I'm Barry Weiss and I see that piece and I know just a little bit about St. Louis, I don't even have to know much at all. And I also know that there's another guy, Jeff Pegues from CBS News, that came to St. Louis and did an unfair piece. I would say, Bill, this story's not ready because this is agenda journalism, Sharon Alfonsi. This is agenda journalism. Mm-hmm. You don't care about another perspective. You care about making this bad for the big, bad orange man. That's all they cared about.
Yep.
All right.
This is impressive.
It is impressive.
I mean, I'm shocked by it.
I'm shocked by it, too, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, I am in the process of putting on X this accident that's causing a huge delay this afternoon. It is eastbound 270. It looks like a tractor trailer in the right lane, and I can't tell if it went off the roadway, but this is in a construction zone. So the one right lane is blocked, and we've got a parking lot jam back through 367. If you are headed into Illinois up north, it's a mess. Now, if you're headed into Illinois downtown, things look fine. We've got light traffic in general. Westbound 70, just some moderate volume at Cave Springs. 64, some moderate volume Hampton out through McCausland, a little bit at 270. And northbound 270, well, it was a little bit slow at the Clayton Road overpass, but mostly southbound. And that's just a slow go in pockets from Ladue Road down through Doherty Ferry and a little at 21. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Big bragging rights game downtown tonight. Sue, Mizzou, and Illinois, 7 p.m. Enterprise Center. Frank Cusumano will have a preview of that as we move through the show here this afternoon. I'm going to that game. I'm not holding out a lot of hope for my Mizzou Tigers.
Well, I heard this morning that anything could happen.
Anything can happen. That's the great thing about this game. You could have the higher-ranked team lose to an unranked team. It's happened many times over the years. So really, there's a little Christmas magic that occurs sometimes at this game, so I'm looking forward to it. Let's talk about Susan L. Ward. Now, you might not be looking forward to contacting a divorce attorney because that means that things are probably a little challenging in your life right now, but they do offer a full range of legal services related to divorce and marital dissolution. They help parents concentrate on maintaining a strong relationship with their kids, minimizing the impact of a divorce. That's not easy. It really isn't, but they've been doing this for 2 decades plus in St. Louis. And Susan is rated AV Preeminent by Martindale-Hubbell. That is the highest peer rating that an attorney can receive, showing that she has reached the height of professional excellence. So if you do need her help, they have a brand new office in Pair, near 270 in Manchester. The website is great, stlfamilylaw.com. The focus on family law and the emphasis on you, Susan L. Ward.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Bold conversations, no apologies. The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
So I'm live in the studio here for a couple of days. We're going to do some Christmas music tomorrow on the 5 o'clock hour, but some segments from the years past, or the year past, if you will. And this one goes back to February, and there's some audio in here that is just, I think, mind-blowing. So check this out. This is from a monologue back in February. So a couple of months ago, it was a Tuesday in December. I got a message from a listener, and I referred to this a couple of times, but I never really played a lot of the the details or shared details. But what happened was a listener shares audio from a University of Missouri journalism class from the day after the election. I'm told that I can use the audio. The parent is okay with it. I prepare to use the audio. I reach out to the dean, David Kerpius is his name, of my alma mater, the University of Missouri Journalism School. And I say, hey, you may want to be dialed into this because this is quite a doozy. So what happened is that, and this is, people may be confused about this, but I will tell you that it's happened to me over the course of my career where someone gets excited, they send you some information, and then they panic. Yeah. And like, oh, we can't use that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what happened here. And it was because he didn't want his son to have any kind of retribution, which I'm going to guarantee you right now there's not going to be any issue with that. But I was not, I kept my word to not play the audio, and then I told David Kerpius, the dean, look, I'm not going to share the audio, but here's the deal. And we start a conversation and a dialogue about media bias, and he indicates to me that he believes in diversity in the newsroom, idea diversity, not color or alphabet mafia diversity.
Can you say more about what the audio was?
I'm going to share that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I will. Thank you for asking. So he invites me. He says, hey, are you a basketball fan? Yeah, huge fan. I spent many years in Columbia with Coach Stewart. He's a friend. And he says, why don't you come up, tour the journalism school? You haven't been here in a while, and I'll show you around. We'll go out to KOMU where they do the newscasts. I anchored there literally 40 years ago this year in 1985, and then went out to dinner and to the basketball game. And we went with John Anderson. John Anderson is an interesting story. He is extremely well known in the sports world because he was an anchor for 25 years on ESPN. He graduated from Mizzou in 87. I graduated in 86. He had a stellar career. A year ago, he decided to call quits. And he's a professor at Mizzou right now. And I asked him last night, I said, well, why did you do that? He said, I just had enough. He did it for so long. He was going to bed at 3 a.m. He couldn't take it anymore. So I don't think he's doing this for the money in Columbia, but I think he's a great choice, especially when it comes to sports reporting. All right. So
it sounds like it.
I had a conversation. I go in there, and the audio is from a professor in a documentary film class. And look, there's a part of me that really just kind of wants to play it, but I'm going to keep my word to a certain extent here. But it's pretty radical stuff. The guy says in the first minute of the class, capitalism is idiotic. Right?
Oh, great.
Stuff like that. And it's just, so there's nothing, my criticism would be, now this is a documentary class. It's not a News 101 class or whatever. Fred, we all had to take those, right? By the way, it was very interesting walking through the hallowed halls and remember, like, Don Ranley's still alive, dude. You remember Don Ranley?
Yeah, of course.
Anyone who went to Mizzou's journalism school, he's got to be 130 years old at this point. So it was pretty jarring, Sue. And I think my point, and I shared this with Governor Kehoe because I went yesterday morning to the Capitol. I sat down with the governor in his office. He was very nice to give me about a half an hour. We talked about a variety of issues. I went over and saw Andrew Bailey at the Supreme Court building. His office is not in the Capitol. I spent time with Steve Butts and Nick Schroer yesterday as well at the Capitol. But then it was back to Columbia talking about some of these issues. And I will say that I didn't really have the in-depth conversation that I had hoped to because, look, I joked with you guys about this. It's not like I'm going to be made a professor at Mizzou. And if I was, my class would be Media Malpractice 101. And I offered the dean countless examples of media bias. I don't know, how, I don't have anything against him, and he was great and very generous with his time. I just don't think that anything I said might make a difference, because these kids are so ingrained and they live in this bubble. They accuse us of living in a bubble. But I want to share this story from the class because I think this is really interesting and relatable to people listening, and I think we know people like this. The people on the left are having some trouble these days. So here's what I'll share. This is a student in the class, all right? It's a young woman, and she shares this story about her and her roommate and a dog. We all like dogs, right? We all have dogs here. We love dog stories. Here's a dog story for you.
It reminded me of three very intense things that have happened in my life. One was very recent. It was over the summer. And one of my best friends and I went to Hot Springs, Arkansas. She's getting her PhD in history, or she's getting her master's in history, applying for PhD programs now. And she's doing her research on it's very long and complicated, but indigenous, like a lot of indigenous history as it pertains to hot springs. And when we were there, we also did fun things, and we went on a hike, and she brought her dog. And when we get into the car after our hike, we noticed that her dog Flora, who's a precious gift from above, and we love her much, is covered in all these bugs, and we're freaking out because it's like she's got her flea and tick medication, but we're like, oh, we're in a place we don't know. Why can't we get the shit off Flora? And so she goes through her pet insurance, and they refer her to a nearby emergency vet. And my friends got some trauma associated with rural vets. She moved to a new place, a rural place once, and brought her pet bird from childhood, and that vet killed her birds.
All right, so she's had trauma with rural vets. That's what she said. If you missed that part, trauma with rural vets. All right, here we go.
Now her dog is covered in ticks. We're in a rural place. She's freaking out. We're driving to this clinic that we've never been to, and we get there, and littered across this emergency vet clinic are Trump signs and pro-Israel signs, and it was just we're looking at each other, and we're like, are you f***ing serious right now? We're just freaking the f*** out.
Oh my God, so pro-Israel signs and Trump signs, all right? So you got the setup there. The dog's got ticks all over it. They're worried about Flora. We love Flora. I bet Flora's a great dog, right? I bet Flora believes in bipartisanship, but here's the rest of the story.
We go in, and at first they were honestly super rude to us, but they were like, oh yeah, we'll see your dog. And we sit there and we prop her up, and they take a look at her, and they literally go, oh, she's covered in seed ticks. And they literally just take this sprayer, and then they give us a bottle of spray, and they go, yeah, you don't need to pay for this visit. And then we go back into the car, and we look at each other, and we're like, what the f*** do we do with that? And that's something I think about a lot as
All right, now just in case you missed it, did you hear what happened? They said, oh my gosh,
we'll just spray this.
Do a spray. We're not even going to charge you.
We're just kind people.
Exactly. Thank you, Sue.
Those acts of kindness from people who believe the most heinous imaginable are, I think, how they tell themselves that they're good people. Because that was a genuinely upsetting experience.
That's the takeaway.
We have my friend's dog, and she's really scared about the well-being of her dog. And here we are in this very this space, which is literally propping itself up as a hostile space.
Oh my God!
For her and me, by extension, her dog Flora.
Right.
And here we are, having this weird dissonance of them doing this kind thing.
Oh my gosh!
That's the takeaway.
Do I need to even say anything after that?
No.
Is that not stunning to me? What else can you say, Sue? Honestly, that's her takeaway. And by the way, this was a theme that continued. Anyone that might be on our side of politics or Trump's side, or anyone clearly that voted for Trump, evil, Nazi, terrible, racist. Everything was about race. Let me tell you what was not discussed in that class. And I listened to the whole hour, okay? And oh, by the way, a lot of these people didn't even have, they canceled classes. By the way, they canceled classes yesterday. They had a snow day at Mizzou. Ridiculous. Now, it's a little different than it used to be because you can do a Zoom class, but how embarrassing was that, right? But you have a situation where all these kids live in this bubble. You have indoctrinators who are professors out there. I mean, it was shocking what I heard in that class, but really, when I thought about it, maybe not so much, because we've seen what's happened on Harvard and Columbia and MIT and some of these other elite universities. We've seen these radicals. But what concerns me is, here's what was not discussed. So racism was discussed, the evil aspects of anyone who voted for Trump, homophobia, transphobia, all this stuff. Here's what was not discussed. Crime, the border. Crime, the border. Covering up stories, not letting the American people know that the guy in the White House was barely cognitive at all. I could go on and on. The lies that were told from the media, COVID and the COVID lockdowns. So there were people in this class that acted like they were shocked, because some of them were, because they live in the bubble and they listen to Rachel Maddow and MSNBC. So then they were traumatized by the fact that they thought Kamala would win and she didn't, and they're lost. Now, again, that's from the day after the election. So emotions were running high.
When you mentioned this to the dean, Mark, what did he say? Did he have any kind of did he say anything?
Well, okay, he has not heard the audio. I'm sharing the audio with him, and I have shared the audio with Governor Kehoe. I'm not trying to ruin the University of Missouri Journalism School, but what I do think is that the taxpayers should know a little bit about what's going on here.
Yes.
And there were things that were said in that class that I think are fireable offenses, all right?
Wow.
I really do. And I don't think the guy's got tenure. But one thing that I will tell you about David Kurpius, and we had a great conversation, and I liked him, and we got along, and we talked a lot of basketball and stuff. But when I brought up the specifics of the professor, he got a little stern. I could tell how he's in a leadership position and a dean. And what he told me was, well, I can guarantee you that won't happen again. I've dealt with that. Fair enough. But here's what I would say, and I probably forgot to say this yesterday. That wasn't the first time that tone was taken. That wasn't the first. That's how it's been all along, right? So I don't know how you stop doing a class like that, because that's what the class became about. So you have, a handful of people in that class that I think certainly agree, and then at least a couple that didn't. So this all goes to how people talk about these stories and how they cover stories and what they omit from stories on a regular basis. Like, let me give you, there's a pretty good example today, if I can pull this up on my iPad, because I was kind of behind the eight ball just a little bit because I didn't work yesterday. Let's see if I can find this. I may have to do this a little later because it was a good example of media bias that I saw at hotair.com today. Can I just, while I look for this, share one story about the Capitol yesterday? So Nick Schroer was, by the way, the Democrats have like these little cubbies. It's like a closet, their offices. They barely have enough space to move around. It's a little slight exaggeration, but they're kind of shoved to the small offices. Nick Schroer, it's like a suite. It's got 2 levels. You go in his office, then you go upstairs, and there's a TV, and there's a podcast studio, and there's whiskey and all that stuff like that. But then there's weird things about the Capitol as well. And one of the things that they point out is there is I won't use the word that was used yesterday, it rhymes with hitter. There's a restroom in the Capitol, men's room, that Senator Schroer says he walked into one time, and there's no door on the rhymes with hitter.
What?
It's not a urinal, it's a, right?
Yeah.
No door.
No.
So the solution in the state capitol, we got all the resources of the state of Missouri, we got to come up with a solution, was to put a shower curtain in front of that. So that's
what happened to the door? There never one?
There was
I
never
have
a door.
questions.
There was never a door that was on there. That's part of the part of the problem.
We got to send Fred. He could be in charge of turlets.
Yeah.
And make sure everything's kosher. That's weird.
It's very weird. Well, the Capitol can be a weird place. But anyway, I started a dialogue with the dean. I can't find that story of the media bias story, but I will find it. We'll get to that here this afternoon. And, I don't know where it's going to take me. Here's one thing, and I'm going to follow up with this offer, because I do feel like it would be valuable to the students and the future journalists of America. I'm not asking to teach an entire course, but what if I came over and opened their eyes a little bit, right? And said, hey, one of the things that David talked about that's important to him is, and they've worked on this at Mizzou, is getting more rural representation at the J School, because there are issues, and I've talked about this, even when it comes to climate change. Look, farmers and guys and gals in rural areas, they need big pickup trucks. And the climate change alarmists act like that's some sort of, way that they're automatically killing the environment.
They're
and
trying
that they
to
don't
feed you.
Right, and that they don't have a reason to have a big truck like that. They do. Now, obviously, we have EVs that are coming along with trucks, and I think that will end up being something that people in rural areas use. But again, you have to have some relatability. And one of the things that I think has been my strength over the years is I can hang with the rich and famous, and I can hang with the people who are hunting and fishing in Howard County, Missouri, and, interested in different things. I have a wide variety of likes and dislikes. That's, I think, helped me over the years in covering stories. And I admitted to the dean yesterday that my side probably has to do a better job sometimes of being a little empathetic on some issues as well. But those were conversations that were started and hopefully continued. Great trip to the Capitol. My thanks to Governor Kehoe and Andrew Bailey, the Attorney General, for making some time. Yeah, that was a segment from February. And ironically, the night I was in Columbia, Dean Kurpius was nice enough to take me to a Mizzou basketball game. And
nice.
I said at the time, I'm going to repay the favor. Have you ever been to the Bragging Rights game? And he said, no. and I invited him to the bragging rights game tonight. And the only reason he turned it down is because he's got family. He's got a good reason. He's an Indiana guy. Remember, I told you, I don't know if I said this during the segment. His mother was Bobby Knight's assistant for 30 years.
Gosh.
She knows where all the bodies were buried,
Oh,
right?
yes, she does.
But David's an IU guy, so he's focused on the CFP right now. But I hope to get together with him again in early 2026.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've got a couple of things happening. It's interesting, not that much volume, but some incidents. There is an accident eastbound 70 past Wentzville Parkway, and this thing has been blocking the two left lanes. Traffic is just a parking lot out there. And then we do have volume westbound, of course, just because it's that time of day. But it's worse eastbound. And we also have an incident. I don't know what else to call it. That's what MoDOT is calling it. Eastbound 270 near Riverview. It involves a tractor trailer, and it's blocking the right lane. At one point, they had all lanes blocked, which it would be both. But it's back to just the right lane blocked. I put it on X at Susan6768. And we've got a jam that goes back through 367. Other than that, moderate volume, 6440 in both directions at 270 and westbound 40 at Hampton. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
From our family at Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation to yours. Happy holidays.
You want to hurry this up, Mark? I'm freezing my baguettes off.
Relax, Grandpa. Air Comfort Service is on their way. Aubrey, you're not doing anything. You want to let me know when they get here?
Honey, her eyes are frozen shut. Gus.
Avoid a 5-alarm emergency with an HVAC system check from Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Learn more at aircomfortservice.com.
'Tis the season, and Quick Trip is turning your phone into the gift that keeps on giving, and giving, and giving. With QT's Holidays. From now till the end of the season, when you open the QT app, you'll automatically get one free gift per day. We're talking classic QT treats like coffee, pizza, or donuts, ready to make your taste buds sing carols of joy. Plus exclusive deals from your favorite brands. With a new surprise waiting for you every day, your phone will be stuffed with more treats than your stocking. QT's Holidays. Open the QT app for your daily gift.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And at 3:30, this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
Built in the heartland for the heartland. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Through some segments from the past year that I really liked, and I spent almost 10 years in Milwaukee at WTMJ working with Bob Uecker, and he passed away this year. Bob Uecker passed away at the age of 90. He has been a legendary baseball announcer, played for the Cardinals, of course, has been calling games for the Brewers for a long time, but he was beyond that. He was on Johnny Carson's show 100 times, did these Miller Lite commercials. You know, so I was thinking about this. I wonder if they have a computation of how much money Bob Uecker made for Miller Brewing Company.
You know, one of the best things about being an ex-big leaguer is getting freebies to the game. Call the front office, bingo. And once these fans recognize me, I probably won't even have to pay for my light beer from Miller. I love them. These fans know I drink light because it's less filling and it tastes great. Good seats, huh?
You're in the wrong seat, buddy. Come on.
Oh, I must be in the front row.
Yeah, there you go.
Light beer from Miller.
I must be in the front row. When Miller Park was opened, which is now some other blah, blah, I don't even know what it is, they had the Uecker seats behind home plate, way up in the upper deck, and they were obstructed view, and I think you can get them for like $5 or something like that. My old buddy Bill Michaels, who is known as the Big Unit, he's a big sports personality up in Wisconsin. We worked together with Bob at WTMJ. I thought I'd call him into service again this afternoon to talk a little bit about Mr. Uecker. Bill, how are you this afternoon? Happy New Year.
I am doing good. It's, you could have, obviously put a black cloud over the state of Wisconsin today. It's a very sad day when you lose an icon. I would imagine it's probably the same when, Jack Buck, retired and then passed away. There's icons in the world of sports that broadcast games, and specifically the romance of baseball. And when you lose a guy like Bob Uecker, we kind of said today, the soundtrack of your summer and of your youth is now gone, and that chapter in your life is now closed, sadly enough. And that's kind of the way it feels here today.
Very similar to what St. Louis felt with Jack Buck, because there was that connection, and Bob was so much Milwaukee. And I've said this, and Bill, you know this. He was just flat out the damn funniest person I've ever been around.
Without a doubt. He could take anything, any moment, any circumstance, and turn it into something. He was that quick-witted. And you don't need to look any further than, we were watching some of the old WWE. Don't forget, he's the only guy that's in Baseball Hall of Fame and the WWE Hall of Fame.
I think I had forgotten
as well.
about that.
Yeah. So when you see him doing WrestleMania and then interviewing Andre the Giant, and Andre the Giant's got his hand on Bob's shoulder. He comes up behind him. He puts his hand on his shoulder, and Bob quickly turns around and says, "Can you get your foot off my shoulder?" Because his hand was so big.
Yeah.
That's how quick a wit he was, and it's just, whether you sat down and you talked to Bob and you had dinner with him and you shared some insights and talked some baseball or just talked about family life, or you had a chance to listen to his broadcast or listen to him when he was, quote, like on, it was just such a pleasure to talk to him.
I did the fishing tournament for many years. You did the fishing tournament, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was on his boat a couple of times and then on other boats, but we always had a great time after the fact.
One of the things I was talking about, I couldn't find audio of this. You remember, Bill, when they were in the American League, and I don't know if you were there at that time, but they would go this would have been the National League. They'd go to Montreal before it was Washington, and he would do like an entire inning with Jimmy Powell with a Canadian French accent, and it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. Bob he could do so much, and he would remember. Were you by chance still here when he was out in California and they had the furry convention?
I don't think
in their hotel.
No.
Oh my God, it was one of the most hilarious things ever in the history of radio. And he was playing very naive and very stupid about furry people. And he was going on and on about it and kept asking Jim Powell. And Jim Powell couldn't breathe at this point. He's laughing so hard. And then it was like, oh, by the way, strike three on the outside corner, And it was just, it's iconic. Because remember, Mark, every year when the programs come out, every team has the face of their franchise, a player, a pitcher, whatever. There's always a player of some type on the cover of the media guide or the team. I remember getting a phone call from Rob Butcher, who was the media relations director for Cincinnati at the time. And he called me, he said, "What the heck, Bill?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "The cover of your media guide's Bob Uecker." And I said, "Well, that's the only thing we got here." Because our team sucked at the time. It was so bad. But Bob became such a face that he was the face of the media guide, not a program when you walk through the gate and they're selling the programs, but the media guide for an entire season. That's how big of an icon he was.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, the other thing, you go back to the time, the Brewers in the modern era have been very competitive. But when we were there working together, certainly late 90s, early 2000s, when they crossed over, I was excited, of course, that they would play the Cardinals in the National League. But when the team would get to about August, Bill, I'd say there was nothing on the line. Maybe it was even July.
Right.
But Bob would just tell story. He would segue, especially August into September, and he'd do this in spring training too, in just the legendary storytelling. I don't know how, and Shannon did this too, I don't know how they remembered all those stories, so well, because I can't remember what happened yesterday, but that was the brilliance of Bob Uecker. And we should point out, he was a great baseball announcer. When the time called for him to be dialed in to call the games and to take baseball seriously, there was nobody better. He was among the best.
No, I completely agree with you. And I'll tell you a quick Bob story that I've never forgotten. It still makes me laugh to this day. But it was the end of County Stadium, and it was the week before they did the Lights Out soliloquy. And there was a guy, and if you know Bob hated people that embellished on the national anthem. He just wanted you to sing it the way it was written, and in honor of not only the national anthem, but to get it done. He just wanted it done. So there was this guy. It was a Sunday afternoon. It was sunny. It was hot. You remember the old Loge level? Because for those that don't know, the press box was really tiny at County Stadium. So the media had to sit outside in front of the press box on what was like this overhang. It was almost like a little outdoor deck.
I remember it. Yep.
It was terrible. So I would used to sit right in front of Bob. That's where my seat was. I mean, literally in front of him and Jim Powell. And I'm sitting there with another guy from up here named Chuck Freeman. And this guy starts out, and they introduce him. And there's only about 7,000 people there because nobody gave a crap about Brewers baseball at that point as far as spending your money to go see a terrible team. So this guy starts to sing, and he starts out with, oh, and I'm like, oh, my God, here we go. And I can hear Bob go, oh, like just this groan, right? So this guy finishes up. And this guy's family's there. This guy's dressed to the nines like he just came from church. I mean, his family is there and everything. And Bob leans back in his chair and very loudly yells, "Well, back here in the fifth inning, over to you, Jim," and then leans back and away. So when the family turns around, the only person sitting there is me. They look at me like I'm like what kind of a jerk I am for kind of giving this guy grief for being so long-winded when it comes to the national anthem. So they're kind of looking snidely up at me, and I think his dad sent something to me. I don't know what it was because at this point I'm trying to avoid the whole situation by turning around. So about the third inning, popcorn starts coming in, hitting me in the head and over my shoulder. And there's Bob leaning out because he had already thrown it over to Jim Powell for the third inning. And he leans over and he goes, hey, Billy. And because he never called anybody, by the regular name. It was always
Mark, how you doing? Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Buddy,
right, exactly.
Right. So he leans over and he goes, hey, Billy. And then he drops one on me and he goes, yeah, I effed you there, didn't I?
And I can hear him doing that. Hey, buddy, how are you? Yeah, that was it. Well, look, he was
Bob.
And there's some things I could share personally, and I'm sure you can too, that's maybe not appropriate for the radio. I do remember being in that damn booth, though, when he was calling games, and he was not always had the mic off. I remember one time, Bill, we had a clip of something that shouldn't have got on the air, but he was really good at turning that mic off, and you wouldn't believe what he would say when the mic wasn't on, when the baseball game was going on. I've seen other broadcasters do that, but none as exceptionally well as Bob Uecker, and I think you can also, as a fan, I'm a fan of profanity. He used profanity exceptionally well. Not on the broadcast, of course, but in person. He and Norm Stewart, I think, are the two people that I'm most fond of when it comes to profanity. But you lost a legend up there. There's no doubt about that.
No, it's a very somber day, to say the very least, here in the state of Wisconsin. And everybody loved him. Everybody loved his stories. And however you loved him, that void is very evident here today, no doubt about it.
Well, Bill, thanks for coming on. And unfortunately, I think I only have you on these days when people die. They're in the sports world. But I appreciate it. I'm bummed that the Packers are not in the second round of the playoffs, but they were up against it last week. And I think the future is bright for the Pack. So we'll see what happens during the draft.
Right. Yep, no doubt. We're kind of optimistic, waiting for next year to be the year. And you hate to say that, but this year was a very much a disappointment, no doubt about it.
It happens. All right, Big Unit, good to hook up with you. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
And that was after last year's Packers season. This year's didn't turn out so well at this point either. That game against the Bears was devastating the other night.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've got a couple of issues out there on the roads. Now, one is an incident involving a tractor trailer, and this is eastbound 270, really close to Riverview. On and off, they have actually been shutting down the eastbound lanes, and right now it's closed again. Looks like you can get around it, like you could take the ramp to Riverview and then back. But right now, both lanes closed, parking lot jam back through 367. No fun. Then an accident out west. This one is eastbound 70 past Wentzville Parkway. It's been blocking the left lanes. We've got a jam that's almost back to Forestel, and then westbound drivers are slowing for a look. Other than that, it's moderate volume. Southbound 270, pockets from Olive through 21, and westbound 64 lines up near Hampton out through McCausland. On the Illinois side, we've got heavy volume. And this is westbound 64 on either side of 158. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon, hoping you and yours have a magical holiday season. Put politics aside for a bit, focus on family, and have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
From all of us at 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, Stewie, I need some cash. I need money. Who doesn't need money? What can you do for me?
You know, Annie, this is a question people ask all the time. Now, pay attention because this is important. Don't get a home equity line of credit. A home equity line of credit is a credit card in your house. It's typically not a fixed rate, so it's an adjustable. You pay interest only. And there's a short-term opportunity to take the money out, and then later on, it turns into a loan that's a really high interest rate. Cash out refinance. That's the most important thing. Refinance your entire mortgage. Get the best rate that's out there. Give yourself the opportunity to refinance later when the rates drop. A cash out refinance is a little bit higher of a rate than a rate and term refinance. Do the cash out now, set yourself up for the future, and get the best deal out there. Just do me one favor. Don't tell my wife about this because she's going to want all the cash in the world to buy a new car.
Well, if you want to know more, Google the Bagel Loan to find out more information or call my friend Stewie, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
Hi, I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, America's largest family law firm. During this time of year, difficult relationships sometimes become impossible. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Setting goals for your retirement is one thing. but knowing how to achieve those goals is another. For tips on building a better nest egg, listen to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 6 or Saturday afternoon at 4, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
A few segments from the year past, and this one focused on something that younger people, including my children who are in their 20s, probably never used, a payphone. This was in the LA Times. Let me ask this question of Ethan, because he's the youngest member in the room. Have you ever used a payphone in your life? Probably not, right?
Not that I can remember, no.
Alex, how about you?
You know, I don't think I've also ever used a payphone.
I have two great memories of using payphones. One was when I was in college at Mizzou, covering a big trial in the Boone County Courthouse. And when the verdict was read, I had to wait in line to use the payphone.
Isn't that funny?
Oh, my gosh.
And the other one was during the halftime of the Super Bowl in Atlanta when the Rams won the Super Bowl. I waited in a huge long line at halftime to call my wife and tell her what I was seeing at the Super Bowl, because there's a line of people waiting for the payphone.
Who performed at that Super Bowl?
What year was that?
He was on the phone.
Phil Collins.
Oh, nice.
Well, I bring it up because here's the story that was in the LA Times. And I'll kind of read, without even reading the headline, I'll kind of read you the narration of the story here and walk you into this audio, which is really, really interesting and compelling. Alexis Wood received a notification on her phone. It was an anonymous call from a payphone. She listened and was momentarily paralyzed, and then she couldn't stop crying. The call wasn't completely unexpected. Days earlier, Wood and her partner, Adam Trunell, had gone prowling for working Los Angeles payphones, and they placed stickers on them that invited passerbys to make a free call to a recorded line to what they said was say goodbye. And she says what surprised her was the message. And I'm going to play you some of these messages because this was something that they did. They put these stickers on payphones and they set up a recorded line. I also think this is going to be a documentary because they alluded in...
Must be.
Yeah, they alluded in the story that the partner that she has, the dude, is a documentary filmmaker, and they're going to do something with this. So there are not a lot of payphones that exist at all in America. There's a couple hundred, I guess, still in Los Angeles. But keep in mind that, Los Angeles is a huge, huge area. There's 149 that remain. Usually next to like a 7-Eleven or something like that, right? You may have a payphone. So this is called the Goodbye Line. It's more than a year old. There's an Instagram account called Goodbye Line, and people pick up the phone. They get curious, and they call this recorded service. Sometimes they leave their name, and they give permission to use their name. Sometimes they say, I don't want my name shared. But Ethan, you'll have to admit, listening to these was pretty fascinating this morning.
Yeah, there was. It gives you an idea of like how much you don't know is going on in people's lives, like behind the scenes that we walk by. Especially when you're in a city, you walk by hundreds of thousands of people daily, and you have no idea what's going on in that person's life, what's going on behind the scenes for them. So I think you almost got this behind the scenes feeling for some of these people as to a sneak peek into their lives, which I thought was kind of cool.
I think you're right about that. But what's interesting is why would they do it in this particular fashion? And one of the things they pointed out in the LA Times story is that you use a payphone different than you use a cell phone. It doesn't have a camera. It's not in your pocket, right? You say goodbye in a place that's different from where you do most of your business. You hear a dial tone. That's the sound of waiting. Then you leave a message as if you just dug a hole in the ground. That's how they describe it in there. But let me play you some of the people that have been inspired to call this. And you can go online to Instagram. It's Goodbye Line. I followed it this morning, and they have all the recordings of the calls up there that people have made.
I've never used a payphone before. It's the very first time I've done it. And I came up to it because I was wondering whether or not this was actually a real payphone or not, and it turns out it is a real payphone. That's fascinating. I'm 28. I'm not that old, not that young. So, I have a vague memory of payphones and people using them. but never done so myself. And then I saw this sticker, and I guess I wanted to mourn the death of the payphone. There's something beautiful about the communal sweat and voices that have poured their essences into this phone that I'm holding. It's right outside of a police station, too, so I'm sure it's been a sight for both. Joel.
Yeah, how about that? That one's right next to a police station. Now, one thing that you're quickly going to discover here, and I think you already have, is the quality of a payphone is not very good.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible. So, and I apologize for that. But here's a young woman named Brittany.
My name is Brittany from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm here in Los Angeles. I want to say goodbye to my old self that was innocent, pure, and young. Now I'm in LA, hooked on cocaine powder, and I feel like I'm a different person. I feel like I am not myself anymore, and I want to say goodbye to the old me that cared about everything, and hopefully I'll get to see that person again. But for right now, like, my main mission is to make money to get some more powder cocaine so I can feel myself, so I can feel like I'm alive again, so I can feel like, I can feel alive.
How about that?
Wow,
I mean, that is extremely sad. And to Ethan's point, you don't know that you walk by someone like Brittany and that she's feeling like, and this is what happened with addicts, that her whole mission is to, to feed the addiction.
Yeah, so if you want to see me in person, see my life story, follow me on Instagram at scumbag90210. I'm a photographer as well.
So she's trying to sell her business. Here's another one here.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's been a few years. It's felt like forever since you left. Physically, you're still here.
This is one where the guy was actually saying goodbye to someone that he didn't have a chance to say goodbye to. So
Either a friendship or a relationship that no longer had.
Right. This is one about an old father, right?
Hello, goodbye line. I want to say goodbye to my old self. I used to be very fat, used to not care about myself, used to not take care of myself, and now I'm on my way to my first bodybuilding show in July. So that makes me very excited, and I want to say goodbye to my old self on this last payphone here in Altadena, California. So, yeah, goodbye to my old self.
That one's not there anymore. It went up in the fire probably, payphone.
I was relieved to hear that one, though, because a lot of these were really sad.
I bet.
And this one was so positive. So I thought it was kind of cool, but I was also a little relieved to hear, someone's finally saying goodbye to something that they are happy to get rid of.
And so I read the slug here, by the way, and I thought it said father because it says, the way that you typed it out is man says goodbye, and we only see a certain amount of the words on the screen. And it says to old fat, and I thought it was father but he was
to
actually
old fat self,
old
I
fat
think is
self,
what I
right.
put.
But this one is to a mom.
Mom, I didn't get the chance to say anything to you. The morning you passed, the night before we actually argued about grades, I was in middle school. And you were upset about my grades, and you thought that I might kind of squander my education, things like that. But I think you'd be pretty proud. You could see where I'm at now. It's not the best in the world, but I did something with my life. So I love you, and I miss you. And this has been a long overdue goodbye. I hope you're doing well.
I mean, that one's really
I don't know
emotional.
if I could take this.
I mean, that is so people are looking at these signs and they're like, okay, they're spilling their guts in some situations. This is a guy who says goodbye to his late brother.
I want to say goodbye to my brother, Emerson. Man, it's just too much. It's a lot. I wish I could say, I wish I could run a lot of shit back, but I can't. I can't even say it. I could just move forward, because I really can't.
Yeah, that's a real sad one. This one is saying goodbye to, this one's more positive because she says goodbye to a disease.
Hi there. Thank you for creating the goodbye line. I'd like to share a little story. I went to a tropical place and picked up a tropical disease, and it's been a very long journey in getting rid of this tropical disease. And I just found out today that the disease, which is called leishmaniasis, is now gone from my body. So I'd like to say goodbye to that wretched thing and move on with my life and see more beautiful tropical places once again. Bye.
How about awesome? That's pretty awesome, right?
It's interesting, too, that they made it the goodbye line so that people can interpret that whatever way they'd like.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's wide interpretation. In fact, here's our favorite, maybe.
Hey, Raquel, you was always a bitch, and I'm glad you did. Bye.
Oh, wow.
Okay, dokie.
That's one way to use the goodbye line. Oh, my. I've forgotten about that last call there. But that's a curious story. That was from earlier in the year. And I do think that, it's going to end up being a documentary. So keep your eyes out for that. But I found that, rather unique and fascinating story. Now, Sue, as we get into the 4 o'clock hour here, we're going to do a live Sue's News. But you introduced us to our guest at 4:30. And we got to know Hank Lina this year, who is a guy who owns a coffee business called Just Hank's. But he's New Zealand born and bred, but became a citizen this year. And his story is inspirational and fascinating, and it makes a great primer, if you will, to enter into the 250th anniversary of this country. So
yes.
I think you really like that conversation. Frank Cusumano is going to be with us live because we got a lot of sports going on. Wilson Contreras has been sent to Boston. We got the Bragging Rights game tonight. We got lots of football to talk about. The Blues won a game over the weekend. All of that and more. We love Kenny Wallace here at 97.1 FM Talk. And even though he was just on with us last week as sort of a farewell to 2025, he was in Europe back in the spring. And Kenny's report on that trip to Europe is very unique, and we're going to air that segment. We had several people from the media, including Mike Bush, made the announcement last week that they're leaving. Rennie Knott left under unique circumstances, but John Pertzborn has always been one of my favorite over at Fox 2, did mornings for decades, visited a few weeks ago to talk about his career in retirement. And then there's a great documentary. It's still up on Netflix. It's called Norman. I think it's Netflix. I have to check. I'm pretty sure. Norman's Rare Guitars, about this guitar shop in L.A. that's legendary. And Devin Dilmore, who's the director of that, is going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a lot of traffic, but a lot of accidents. Accident westbound 44 past Lindbergh, and they've got the right lane blocked. So be careful through there. There was an accident eastbound 70 past Wentzville Parkway, and that one has been blocking the left lanes. Huge jam behind it, but now it's jammed in both directions. And there is an incident with a tractor trailer. This is eastbound 270 at Riverview. They've shut down the eastbound lanes, but you can exit at Riverview and then come back on the highway. But in the meantime, we've got a parking lot jam that extends back past 367. So that's the worst of it. Other than that, a little bit of moderate volume here and there. And a jam westbound 64, Lake St. Louis Boulevard out through the 70 split. 70 slowing near Lake St. Louis Boulevard as well, all due to that accident out there. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago politician Dick Durbin. Now, Durbin has a new scheme. He's doing the dirty work to benefit corporate megastores. Durbin's bill could cut corners on your credit card security, putting your personal data at risk. Big chain retailers and warehouse stores want to inflate their profits, and liberal Dick Durbin would help them do it. Tell senators, say no to the megastores and Dick Durbin. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Last month, my business cash flow got tight. Sales were slow, invoices were late, and payroll was coming fast. My business is everything, and people rely on me. I can't let them down. I applied online at lenseek.com and had business funding in 24 hours.
Business moves fast. Don't wait until it's too late. Whether it's lines of credit, term loans, working capital funding, or revenue-based financing, LendSeek is open for business. Apply now at LENDSEEK.com.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsend. Many of our clients are victims of negligent drivers. They put their trust in us, and we help them recover physically and financially. Their words carry more weight than ours.
They guided me through every step of the legal process with clarity and expertise, ensuring that I always felt informed and supported.
Injured? Call Kaufman Townsley. It costs you nothing to call, but may cost you everything if you don't. Call 314-777-7777.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast!
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
You know, there's a certain way we do things around here, the Grasser way.
The Grasser way?
We don't cut corners and we don't take shortcuts. Not on the little stuff and not on the big stuff.
We do the big stuff.
That's right. Whole home generators that kick on the moment the grid gives up. Lights stay on, heat stays on, your family stays safe. So your house stays warm.
And your ice cream stays frozen.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Wishing you a very Merry Christmas.
It's Dana Lash. Thanks to the 97.1 FM Talk listeners for a great 2025. Wishing you and yours a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
From all of us at 97.1 FM Talk. KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Another possible seizure. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. The U.S. is reportedly aiming to seize a third oil tanker near Venezuela.
A U.S. official says this oil tanker is part of Venezuela's illegal sanctions evasion. American authorities have a seizure warrant for the ship. The pursuit comes after the U.S. Coast Guard intercepted a second oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela on Saturday. While not all Republicans support the seizures, many of them are backing the president. The moves are the latest escalation in the administration's pressure campaign against President Nicolas Maduro, whose leadership they see as untenable. Targeting Venezuela's oil sector will have ripple effects in Cuba, too, which relies on crude imports from the country.
And that's Fox's Madeline Rivera in D.C. Plans, meantime, expected to be announced from the White House at this hour for a new large warship that President Trump is calling a battleship as part of a larger vision, they say, to create a so-called Golden Fleet. The plan will reportedly include a new large surface combatant class of ship and as many as 50 other support ships. A Maryland federal judge weighing whether or not to allow the federal government to re-detain Kilmar Abrego Garcia after he was released from a 4-month detention less than 2 weeks ago. After hearing today, his lawyer, Simon Sandoval Moischenberg, said his client wants to take Costa Rica up on an offer to be a refugee there, but the U.S. government is threatening instead to send him to Africa.
He is trying to carry out what the government claims to want in this case, which is his removal from the United States. And they're the ones who are preventing that from happening.
The White House says they deported Abrego Garcia to El Salvador in March, claiming he's an MS-13 gang member who came to the U.S. illegally. And the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs relocating across the KC, Missouri border.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast!
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Here's a tale of Linda trying to lose weight, but the med prices she found were all over the place.
Hidden fees and markups made her jaw drop low. Then she found GoodRx. Now she's in the know.
GLP-1 subscriptions FDA approved.
With clear upfront pricing.
And same-day pickup.
That's GoodRx, the no-nonsense way. Save time and money on prescriptions.
Get to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
It is a very non-December week for our holiday week. Partly cloudy skies. 46 should do it for the overnight low. All is quiet. On Tuesday, partly sunny, 62. A weak cool front sweeps by on Tuesday night. No real effect other than some clouds and 44. Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy, 69 degrees. The record's 73, so that's safe. Christmas Eve, Wednesday night, cloudy, a sprinkle or two, 55. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, it's a Monday afternoon. We got Christmas in a few days. I'm going to be here for today and tomorrow, and then taking the rest of the time off until the 5th. Sue, you're going to hang out here with some fill-in hosts. We have some best of segments that we're running today and tomorrow. I'm going to play some Christmas music in the 5 o'clock hour tomorrow. I've been adjusting my playlist. Some of the songs I played last year are going to be repeated, but I got a bunch of new ones on there, so I've been having fun with that. A couple of stories that I just wanted to share. Some of these are random, so I'll just kind of be in this mode where I know we're not going to have the whole week, and I want to make sure I get some of these things in here. And this one, I just want your reaction because I started reading this story in the New York Times today, and it said, I will admit that the headline got me, okay? He smeared dog feces on a critic. Now he's back in the spotlight. 2 years after the assault, Marco Gecki is staging a non-traditional nutcracker. So it says, when the German choreographer Marco, it's Goecke, Gecki?
Yeah, that's
We'll
probably...
call him Gecki, bumped into a dance critic in 2023, shortly after she had savaged his work, he took out his anger on her by smearing feces from his dachshund on her face.
What is the matter?
I mean,
dude.
Well, now the guy's like making a comeback. They say that it was he was the director for the Hanover State Opera. There was a police investigation. He paid 5,000 euros, and he lost his job.
Oh.
So this was 2 years ago, right? Well, now he's back, and he is the artistic director of Ballet Basel, which is, and again, the pronunciations, I'm not sure. It's one of Switzerland's major dance companies. So, man, you can just wipe dog poop on someone's face.
It's appalling to me that he's in charge of something major.
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
Oh, my gosh. All right, then you have, I'll just go with all the crazy stuff today. This Sharon Moore stuff from Michigan. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Sue, but we hired the offensive coordinator. Mizzou hired the offensive coordinator from Michigan in the past couple of days. I don't know much about him outside of the fact that he had a hell of a mentor if he wants to bang staffers at Mizzou. So, because that's what Sharon Moore was doing. But listen to this. Even when you think that thing with that dude can't get worse, I think it's getting worse. So
How?
The Athletic is reporting this today. They say 5 women contacted by the Athletic say they had strange or uncomfortable exchanges with former Michigan coach Sharon Moore on Instagram as recently as last month and dating as far back as 2020. So some of this is weird, all right? Listen, one woman said she received a hand-waving emoji from Moore a few hours before Michigan kicked off against Purdue on November 1st. The woman says she had no connection to the Michigan football program. She wasn't sure why Moore would be sending her direct messages. She responded with a hello. Moore's next message popped up roughly 20 minutes after Moore finished his post-game news conference. The Wolverines narrowly beat the last-place Boilermakers 21-16. The woman, incredulous that Michigan's head coach would be messaging her on a game day, initially believed it to be a fake account.
Well, yeah.
Once Moore assured it was not, she congratulated him on the night's win. The woman did not respond the next time he engaged with her on Instagram 2 days later when he left a fire emoji on a story that she posted of herself on a Stairmaster at the gym. In the days following their initial conversation, she discovered he was married with kids. She was mystified that he had the time to be scrolling through social media when he had a team to prepare. What is he doing, she wondered, sitting in the bathroom? It's probably what it was, if you want to know the truth. So this is the other thing that's weird. So they say they spoke with more than 20 people, the Athletic did, including current and former staff members, players, school officials, women who interacted with Moore on social media. Most of these are anonymous, so they could speak candidly. They say they paint a picture of a coach who became increasingly volatile before his firing and subsequent arrest and arraignment on felony and misdemeanor charges. But listen to what they were saying. This is the part that caught me off guard. Moore would break down sobbing in staff meetings. What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something's going on.
If that doesn't show you have some emotional and mental issues, he would lash out at other coaches. According to 3 people who witnessed the behavior, he was seen eavesdropping on a closed-door meeting inside Schembechler Hall. I'm guessing that's the athletic department named after Bo Schembechler.
Yeah.
One of those people said, and fellow staff members had become concerned about his mental state.
Well, wait, so this was all leading up to, and so we already knew he was on the edge.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yes. So he goes to the female staff member's apartment after he gets fired. He barges in without permission. He threatens suicide while wielding butter knives. Police say they looked at the text messages, and some of this has been reported previously. He said, "I hate you. My blood is on your hand." The woman's lawyer, Heidi Sharp, told police, remember she was involved in this, that Moore had a long history of domestic violence against the staffer. Now, they deny that, but there is so much stuff that goes, hand in hand with this.
So while that's going on, he's reaching out to random women on Instagram.
Yeah, but listen to this. This is where it goes to the, the University of Michigan. And my understanding was, and I said this last week, they hired the same law firm that is a Chicago law firm that they hired to investigate the original claims of this relationship over the summer. But this story says that his online interactions with women were raised to the university by the fall of 2024. So that's last year, right? Early in his first season. You have to remember, Jim Harbaugh leaves to go to the Chargers, right? The behavior was shared with school officials, but it wasn't criminal, and it didn't involve university employees, 2 people said, but they say it raised red flags about his poor judgment and lack of, discretion, I would say. It was not sexual harassment, said one of the officials. It was proprietary, are you an idiot kind of stuff.
Huh.
4 of the 5 women provided screenshots or text messages from Moore. The women said Moore reached out on Instagram via DM or by liking a story that they posted. One of the 5 women, 3 worked in sports media. 1 had mutual friends with him. 1 had no mutual connections and did not live in Michigan. So they looked at the screenshots. He would rather ask seemingly innocuous questions or send emojis like the fire symbol, clapping hands, a wave in response to stories. And then he attempted to engage the women in conversation. And he'd say, "How did this guy's the head football coach for one of the biggest how did we start following each other?" He wrote to one woman who reminded him that he began following her first. One woman with whom he shared mutual connections provided messages the 2 exchanged after he asked her if he could fly her to come see him. She does not live in Michigan. She asked him why he would do that and whether he had considered the potential ramifications in a relationship. If she visited, would she need to avoid being seen in public? Would he expect her to be holed up in some hotel? I guess we'll have to see. I would say yes, but you would also have to have a driver. Ha ha. We will go into that detail later. When the woman asked how many women he had propositioned similarly, he responded, none. Well, that's not true, right?
So he's obviously in a serious mental state
So
here.
This is interesting, too. So during the preseason camp, you can't make this up, Sue. He instituted a no social media challenge for the entire program.
Are you kidding?
To help players and coaches focus on football. Players and staff acknowledged the challenge with social media posts that used the hashtag locked in. He goes, this is what he said on the 25th of August of this year. I really wasn't on social media until last week, and then I'm back off of it again. It's kind of a good thing not to be on it. I feel good about that.
I bet you do.
Oh, my God. So I guess during the latter part of the season, HR at Michigan gets a tip that he's in a relationship with a female football staffer, right?
Yeah.
So that can't happen. So they investigate. They don't produce proof. I mentioned that law firm, Jenner and Block, conducts an external investigation. The staffer told police that she and her lawyer met with investigators shortly before Moore's firing to disclose the relationship, according to court transcripts. But that was the updated relationship because, originally there was no relationship. But Moore told police that he was engaged in a relationship with this staffer for 2 years. So that indicates that he was with her before he was headed to, be a head coach. It says several Michigan players lived in the same apartment complex as the staffer. And one program source recalled seeing Moore there late at night, his SUV parked at the complex late on the night of several occasions. Moore and the staffer were frequently spotted together in public. He wasn't being very shy about this whatsoever.
Jeez.
And I guess what happened was, I think the timeline that I predicted was off, but I thought it had happened a few weeks before all this. But I think on that Monday, she breaks up with her, and he loses it, right? And then because he loses it and he's being threatening, she goes to the administration with the lawyer. And not only that, the lawyer's on the phone when he's threatening her in her apartment. So that the details are not good. They keep getting worse for Sharon Moore.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's unhinged in
many
ways.
different ways. Isn't that frightening, though?
Yes.
Because you have that's a completely different side of someone's, like a completely different life.
Yes.
Bizarro.
Yeah.
Sue's News on this Monday before Christmas coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, out west, we've had some issues, and 70 is slowing now in both directions, essentially west of Wentzville. There was an accident eastbound, as you approach Highway Z. That was in the left lanes. They've been working to get that off to the shoulder. Then there was one westbound, just a little bit west of the original accident. So traffic is stacked up, and 6440 is jammed almost back through, not quite Winghaven, looks like Highway N. Now, crews have also been dealing with a tractor-trailer incident eastbound 270 at Riverview. They had both lanes blocked for a while, and then they'll let some through. Regardless, we've got a jam that goes back past 367. And southbound 55 slowing at Bates, westbound 40 at Hampton. If you're headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge, things look fine. This report is brought to you by Aspen Contracting. Aspen, roofsbyaspen.com. Is your home siding damaged, faded, storm damaged? Aspen has the materials, manpower, and project managers to get the job done fast. Don't let your house be an eyesore. Call them today for your free siding inspection, 636-465-1696. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar. And maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley, and this is the sound of our attorneys walking into court. Because when an insurance company offers a lowball settlement, we go to trial, prepping endlessly, interviewing witnesses. We know the loss and the cost of an accident, and when it's needed, we go to war for you and take the fight to the insurance company. Because we've been in your shoes. Kaufman Townsley, real people, real results. Call 314-777-7777.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Grandpa had a soft spot for dogs.
Yeah, he always had treats in his pocket.
He said if you're going to take care of people, you better take care of their best friends too.
Is that why we help dog shelters?
That's right. For every service call, we donate 10 pounds of dog food to local dog shelters, helping dogs waiting for a home.
Grandpa would like that.
He sure would.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Maybe you haven't heard about us. We're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless has you paying for more data than you might need. Why? They might want you to cover the costs of younger people who do use all that data. If you're not using the data, you're probably being used. We've heard time and time again that some Big Wireless customers get stuck paying hundreds and even thousands more for years and years because they think it's hard to switch. Not with us. It takes just about 20 minutes, and you can change your plan anytime without extra charges. We use the same towers as the big guys, so you'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Our plans start at just $20 a month, and for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
What's up? It's Draymond Green. I'm back for my 14th NBA season, and my podcast, The Draymond Green Show, is back too. This season, I'm breaking down games, reacting to the biggest NBA stories, and sitting down with teammates, rivals, and culture shapers. And trust me, I'm not holding back, on the court or on the mic. 2 new episodes every week, new segments, big conversations, real basketball talk for the real hoop heads. Listen to and follow The Draymond Green Show wherever you get your podcasts. We're back, we're better, let's get it.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Well, we're mixing in a little best of segments from the year before. We have a great one with someone Sue introduced us to, Hank Lina, who is newly naturalized U.S. citizen from New Zealand, and his story is really amazing. We'll get to that right after Sue's news, which is coming up, gosh darn it, right now.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's news. Brought to you by Sue.
I just want to admit that I had to get the mole man's name from Mark today. I think that the moles are active in the yard.
Uh-oh.
And I didn't think they would be in winter.
See, that surprises me
because
quite a
it's
bit.
so freaking warm. That's why.
I think that's it.
They're only going to be more active next week.
But I wish you would have warned me about that, because I have the mole sound effect, and I can't find it either, because that's a great. The mole man sound effect was really good too. We have insect news. Do you know where that is, Ethan?
I've never even heard our mole one. I didn't know we had one.
I think he did a mole one. Now the problem is Mark's going to look for that for you.
All right.
Are you sure?
Because I'm confused. I don't know why it's not in here. It should be.
Okay. Well, it's Happy National Date Nut Bread Day. That's not something I've made. I like a good zucchini coconut, which is quite tasty.
Did you say date nut bread?
Yeah, date nut bread.
I've never heard of this.
Have you ever eaten a date?
I don't think so.
Maybe I'll make that and see if you could.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good though. Is it good? Like dates aren't they kind of like
good.
prunes?
Well, ish.
Okay.
But they're sweet-ish. I don't know if I want any. And it's National Forefathers Day, which commemorates the landing of the Pilgrims Fathers in Plymouth on December 1620.
Bunch of racists colonized, took the. I don't like it. Pilgrims. I'm anti-pilgrim, Sue. What can I say?
Well, that's fair.
Bigots, racists, something like all those things. They wear those black costumes,
Sounds
right?
right.
With the white
that's
hats,
true.
Kind of goofy outfits.
Cultish,
who needed them?
one would say.
Yes, exactly.
67 years ago today in 1958, we have no music for this because you can only take so much. Number one song, Christmas song, the Chipmunk song.
Oh, thank you for
You're
not
welcome.
putting us through that again.
Uh-huh. It actually made number one on the charts. I can't believe it. The fact that it did is shocking. And then it was the only number one Christmas song until Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas in 2019. So between 1958 and 2019 was a huge gap.
That's like
for a number one.
Random fact esque, right?
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
All right, and this one is a sports one. On this day in history, 29 years ago, that would be 1996, was when Brett Hull scored his 500th goal, and it was here in St. Louis. He was the 24th to do so in NHL history. And he and his dad, Bobby, then became the first father and son to hit that milestone. That was 29 years ago today. Credit, by the way, to Joe Sonderman's This Day in St. Louis History. By the way, yeah, that's not a bad gift if you're looking for something.
Want to hear something funny, kind of sad?
Yes.
I knew what Hole in Oats was before I knew what Hall in Oats was.
No, I believe that.
That is St. Louis.
That I believe, yes.
I love that. Well, Blue Origin transported the first person in a wheelchair into space over the weekend. I had no idea that happened. 33-year-old Michaela Benthaus, a German engineer, was up there for about 10 minutes. Blue Origin, of course, is the Jeff Bezos thing. He's been doing these flights now for 4 years. I don't think I knew this, but any random person can apply by putting down $150,000. Now, there's no guarantee. I don't know if they keep the money, but they have to decide whether or not they want you to go. And I don't know what that includes. And why would you put down $150K if you didn't know if you got to go?
Well, if you're Katy Perry.
Right. If it's a
right.
refundable deposit, I mean, if you're putting a deposit
But
up.
they don't say that. I guess it is.
I'm sure it is.
Well, you just let it float there, and then if they don't like, oh, sorry, here, yeah, you take it back, and I guess. All right, I had missed this. As part of next year's celebration of the USA's 250th anniversary, President Trump announced something called the Patriot Games. Did you hear this?
I have not.
Okay. Tell me if this is what you heard, Ethan. It'll feature, quote, the greatest high school athletes, one young man and one young woman from each state and territory. And the Patriot Games are scheduled for sometime in the fall. What is that, Ethan?
It sounds like they're going to compete against each other in athletic events to find out who the best state is. I saw a great tweet, though, that said that this sounds like Trump just created the Hunger Games.
Well, yeah, I know, right? That's exactly what it is.
Okay, no one will be killed, but yes. And how do you determine? Well, is it going to be?
Some people got some serious state pride.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but is it running? Is it weightlifting? Is it all of it?
I don't know if it's been specified.
Okay.
He just announced it. I'm sure there's going to be way more information.
It's Trump. You don't need details.
Well, that's just
it's going to be the best ever.
It's the best.
Yes.
That's right. All right, UltimateClassicRock.com is doing a voting bracket for rock's best Christmas song, and they did about 13. You have to be a rock band to do it. I'll get you up to, we'll start at 13. River by Joni Mitchell. I love that so much. I can't stand it. 12 is Last Christmas by Wham. Is that rock and roll? Not sure. 11, Please Come Home for Christmas by the Eagles. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Christmas All Over Again. I'm not familiar with that. Are you, Mark?
Oh, yeah, that's a good song.
Have I heard it?
Yes,
It might be in the music today, I think.
Oh, is it?
It might be in our bump today.
All right.
It's a pretty popular one.
2,000 Miles, The Pretenders. Step Into Christmas, Elton John. Blue Christmas, Elvis, which I don't love that
Wait, are
song.
these the best or the worst?
These are the best.
Okay.
Because it's got to be Christmas and it's got to be rock. Number 6, Little Saint Nick. Beach Boys.
That's my favorite.
All right. Merry Christmas. I Don't Want to Fight Tonight. The Ramones. I don't think I've heard that in a long
it's
time.
a great version. Yeah.
Number 4, Father Christmas. The Kinks. Run, Rudolph, Run. Chuck Berry at number 3. And then this is number 2. It's Paul McCartney.
This is like my least favorite Christmas song ever.
Well, you.
No, I mean ever.
I do not like this one.
No
either.
debates. And it's not only because I'm sick of it. It's just I don't know.
Was this a pulse, like a survey, Sue?
Yeah, this is a survey.
Wasn't this on the worst list that we did a couple weeks ago?
I think it was.
Do you notice that things are also the best? It makes no sense. But I will tell you that I agree with this one. This is my favorite. It's David Bowie and Bing Crosby.
I mean, what a
It's a
pair
killer.
this was, right? Yeah. This is like 1969, 1970.
Yeah, it's right in there.
They told me, bum a newborn king to see, bum
Right, there you go.
I think that the appeal of this one, though, isn't so much the song as it is watching Bing Crosby sing with David Bowie. You know, it's a whole video.
I had never, before pulling this today, it's one of those songs you hear and you're like, oh yeah, I know that song. I didn't know that this was David Bowie and Bing Crosby together.
Oh, that's
I had
interesting.
no idea. So that's kind of cool.
Who'd you think it was, or did you not think?
Genuinely no idea.
Yeah.
I'd never thought about it.
That's very interesting. I can see how you wouldn't know.
You just hear it on 102.5
Right,
growing
like,
up.
All right, there it is. All right, here's my good news story of the day. There's a polar bear in northern Canada who adopted another bear's cub. And apparently that is extremely rare. Researchers spotted her with one cub this spring. Now she's got a second one. And we actually have a little bit of sound from a woman who works with the Polar Bears International.
We are looking at a mom with 2 cubs of the year, so they are just under about a year old. But one of the cubs has been adopted. She's trying to eat as much as she can as soon as she can and teach her little cubs, both of them, how to hunt and how to be polar bears. The survival rate for cubs to make it to adulthood is not great. It's around 50%, give or take, depending on the year. But we know that if a little cub has no mom, it has almost no chance. So the fact that this cub got adopted really does give it a shot at making it to adulthood.
Isn't that sweet? It is.
That's
All right.
interesting, though, that it never happens. And
Yeah,
then,
and of course it would have to be something horrible for
but those
that
are
to happen.
some stark numbers. They're 50% survival.
It's a rough
Yeah.
environment up there, I suppose. Okay, now tomorrow we're going to talk about pizza. And I have one of the weirdest orders of pizza that you will hear. We will talk about that tomorrow because it's more New Year's stuff. But finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact. The record for the most lights on a real Christmas tree is 194,672, which was achieved in Belgium in 2010. The most for an artificial tree is 570,546 light. It was set at Universal Studios in Japan in 2017.
Holy Clark Griswold.
Yeah, no kidding. Unbelievable. There you go. Rapping Sue's News from Monday.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, rocking around the Christmas tree.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. A lawsuit against baby formula maker ByHeart will be expanded to include the grocery store chains that carry it, those being Target, Walmart, and Whole Foods. According to the attorney suing ByHeart, Bill Marler, he said they will be added later this week. Bourbon maker Jim Beam is halting production at one of its Kentucky distilleries for at least a year. The company says that slumping demand and the impact of tariffs are two of the main reasons why. Beam says that the year off from production at the Claremont facility will give it time to upgrade the property. Stocks are moved higher on the session today. The Dow Industrial Average up 228 points, finishing at 48,362. The Nasdaq is up 121. The S&P 500 ahead by 44. New data that artificial intelligence was responsible for almost 55,000 layoffs in the U.S. in 2025. Challenger Grant Christmas reports that overall job cuts topped 1 million this year. That's Your Money Now.
Too much on your list this season? Get 50% off your first 6 months of payroll at gusto.com/radio. Gusto saves you 2 days every month on payroll, taxes, and compliance. So you can go from making payroll to making gingerbread houses, checking your books to decking the halls, spreadsheets to snow angels. Switch before the end of the year and there's no need to transfer payroll history. Now that's a reason to be merry. Choose a future with Gusto and get more time for what matters. For a limited time, get 50% off your first 6 months at gusto.com/radio.
CVS Health supports people in the moments that matter, from picking up a prescription to connecting care. With nearly 5 million daily interactions and serving 185 million consumers and 1.5 million healthcare professionals, CVS Health holds a trusted place in healthcare. By simplifying care and improving health, we're helping people get the care they need. Learn more at cvshealth.com/investor day.
Rave reviews online at igotfloor.com for the team at Michael's Flooring Outlet. I can give them a rave review. They did some great work in my home last year. But how about Jason, who says, great organization from the top down. There's a reason why they've been around for 30-plus years. Thank you, guys. Jason. Here's Becky, who says, we had both carpet and hard flooring installed by Michael's. They did an incredible job. We shopped around. They're the best price by far. They were quick, professional, cleaned up after. Highly recommended. Here's another one. Terry says, my floors were replaced very quickly. The crew that installed the flooring were excellent. Thank you, Michael's Flooring. And then one more from Robert. He says, we're very happy with our experience with Michael's Flooring. Mike C. was our salesperson. He was very helpful. Dylan, our installer, and he was punctual, neat, and skilled. We'd be happy to purchase from Michael's Flooring again. And that's the kind of experience you're going to have. If you need flooring in the St. Louis area, only one place to turn. 3 great physical locations that you can walk into and see and feel the products in Darden Prairie, in West County on Olive, and also the great legendary store in Old Town St. Peter's. The website, igotfloor.com, Michael's Flooring Outlet.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. If you want immediate cash for your home or to see what your home is actually worth in today's market, find out for free from the local experts. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
From Alton to Wildwood, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, all credit to Sue Thomas for this next guest who was with us earlier in February. He's been on since then because we love the story so much. You know, one of the things that I've talked about with this immigration issue, because there seems to be an inability to distinguish immigration from illegal immigration. A couple years ago, I don't think it was last season, I think it was the season before, at Busch Stadium at the end of the season. I think they do this every year. I was at the game, and they had a bunch of people that had become naturalized U.S. citizens. They went through the process. They did the work. And they were there, and they were proud to be Americans, and they were being honored at Busch Stadium. And everyone in the stadium, all us racist, bigoted xenophobes, were cheering them on.
It's one of the most moving things.
It's amazing.
It's just awesome.
So you're going to introduce us to Hank Lina here, right?
Yeah, Hank Lina is a family friend, and he actually is a new United States of America citizen, and he came from New Zealand. So it's interesting to kind of hear the story of how he got here and what brought him here and how he decided and why to become a U.S. citizen. Yeah.
And plus, Hank, we just like the accent. So as we always point out to people from Australia or New Zealand or maybe even England, we just like to have them on. It doesn't really matter what you say. But how are you? Welcome
I'm
to the
very
show.
well, thanks. And thank you for having me here, and I hope you enjoy my accent. I'll try and say as much as I can.
No, I love it. I love it. So let's just kind of, your background is interesting. So let's talk about Hank Lina and what happened in New Zealand and kind of what brought you here to the States.
All right. You want me to? Okay.
Yeah.
So
share the story.
Okay. Well, I don't know how far back to take it, but I'd come to the States for a few months to visit friends, and I was on my way out. It was my last 3 days here. I was at Lambert Airport, St. Louis, and saw this hot-looking chick standing there, and I thought, I need to talk to her. And I was heavily tanned and very, very blonde, and she looked at me and thought, oh, he's Hollywood, and she didn't want to talk to me at all. But anyway, as it happened, we had to stand for quite a long time, and in the end, I just said to her, at this rate, we're never going to get off the ground. And then she realized she's not Hollywood. And we got talking, and we got on that plane, and by sheer luck and persuasion, we managed to sit beside each other. And I'll be honest, I got to LA, and I knew in my heart that I was deeply in love, and I wanted to marry that girl. And she thought the same. She told her father the next day, and so we did the Skype relationship thing, long distance, because I was back in New Zealand, and she came to New Zealand a couple of times. I came back a couple of times, and I said to her, this is getting really expensive. Why don't we get married and spend the rest of our life together? And so we did, and we lived in New Zealand. And Melanie's a concert pianist, and she had a really good career in New Zealand with the piano, playing plenty of recitals. And I was in the dairy industry, and I was selling bull sperm, and we call it genetics, but it's essentially just sperm. And I'd been doing that. I've been in that industry for my whole working life, and I made it to a position of general manager of a large company, and I was at the helm there for 5 years, and I did what I was asked to do, and on achieving that, of course, then you get decapitated, and that's how corporate businesses work. And then we had COVID, and we were locked in our house.
Yeah.
How bad was COVID over there, Hank? What did it look like in New Zealand?
Wait, before you answer that, I just want to be clear in case the audience missed something. You did say, might have been the first time it's been mentioned on my show. You said bull sperm, right? That's what you said.
That's right.
Yes,
Yes, absolutely.
We clarify that.
It's an enormous global industry. It is absolutely gigantic. No dairy farmers commercially use an old bull anymore. Everything's artificially inseminated with truly superior bulls that they harvest the sperm from and inseminate, artificially by hand.
But when you're hanging with Melanie at Lambert and, she's just starting to get to know you, do you mention bull sperm in like the first couple of minutes or did you hold off on that?
No, he don't.
You don't really talk about sperm on the first date.
Okay, now back to Sue's question well, I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Yes.
New Zealand, we would air some audio. It was crazy over there during COVID, all kinds of weird lockdowns, right?
Yeah, it was really sad. I refused to get vaccinated because the day they invented COVID, they said it's just like the flu. So I was decided in my own heart, okay, well then I'm not going to die from it. And so instantly I lost half of my friends.
Yeah.
And then we had that lockdown where the government encouraged people to call the police if they saw their neighbors outside. And
I heard the audio from that. I couldn't believe it.
And the government took away our Bill of Rights. Police could come into your house without a warrant in case you had a party of people going, and spreading COVID. you couldn't go down to the beach for a swim because if you got in trouble when people had to rescue you, you subjected them to COVID. It was just ridiculous. It was laughable. And so I lost my job. A friend of mine, a New Zealander in the States who was managing a whole lot of New Zealand-owned dairy farms in Missouri, he rang me and using some colourful language, told me that it's going to take me at least 12 months to find a job at my level, so get my backside over here and help me on the farm. So I did. I said to Melanie, I'm coming to America to help Pete for 6 months. And I was here for 2 months, and I rang her up and I said, darling, sell the house. I love this country. I really, really love it. The people are so patriotic where we are. And so she did. She came over, and we started our life here, and I had a work visa. I then decided to go for a green card. The green card was a big process. It was expensive, but fortunately the employer paid most of that for me. I had to tell myself that nobody coming across the border illegally had gonorrhea or syphilis because I had to get tested for that to get a green card.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, and they threw in chlamydia for free. So
bonus.
I said to them, I've been married 10 years and I'm not acting like Napoleon. So anyway...
See, that even that little nugget of information right there. Nobody knows that, right? That's fascinating.
And then as time goes by, after 3 years with a green card, I could apply for my naturalization, and which I did straight away. And I remember the guy who gave me the green card said, Hank, I'm giving you a 10-year green card, not because you're nice. It's because the 10-year green card, you can register to vote after 3 years, and we need you to vote. And so I did, but I just missed the election. And at the day of the interview, you get asked all of these horrible questions. Have you been involved in child pornography? Have you smuggled people across the border? Have you yourself smuggled yourself across the border? Have you been involved in overthrowing a government? It just goes on. And you're standing there, and the poor girl asking you these questions is like, I hate asking these questions because there's millions of people crossing the border right now illegally.
Right.
And I thought, what if I have to answer yes to one of these questions and get denied my citizenship while they're just streaming over the border? I got really quite annoyed with that. But I made it through. And on the day of the naturalization, it was so moving. I was so happy. And when we stood there and sang the national anthem, the words hit me for the first time, especially the part where it said, with the light of the explosions and the gunfire, we got proof that our flag was still flying. It was that moment that I felt a true patriot, and I felt good. I felt really, really good. I felt honoured to be here. And you know, I put it on my little Facebook page. I normally get about 100 likes. I've nearly got 900 likes for that poster.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. It's
that
amazing.
Makes me teary.
And look, I love that story so much, and a lot of us are proud Americans. I love this country deeply. One of the reasons I was so concerned about the election, I can take a lot of the issues out of it and just focus on next year. We celebrate the 250th anniversary of the birth of our nation, as flawed as it is, Hank, and we're not perfect, and you know that. But look, I'm excited about it. I was around in 1976 when we celebrated 200, and it needs to be a celebration of the freedoms. But it's sad to me that someone like you has a deeper appreciation for the freedoms and what we're afforded in this country than certainly many of the young people that are out there, and maybe more than that.
Good comment, because to that end, I got out of the dairy industry and I set up my own little business. It's a coffee trailer called Just Hanks, and in my logo there's a courthouse. It's just. So I'm righteous and upstanding. I believe in everything that's right, and so that's how I run my business. My mission statement is to enrich people's lives just a little bit every day, and through that, you know, we happen to raise quite a lot of money that I donate to some charities. I think I've done about $5,000 in total of donated money, and you know, I'm only one little trailer, but if I get young people that walk up and just say, "Give me a frappe," I say, "Take a few steps back, sunshine, and ask properly."
There you
go.
go.
Love that. That's
and
amazing.
they become friends. They actually turn around and become friends, and so it's great. And
now, where are you? I want to guide people into the coffee trailer, because you're out in Washington, Missouri, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Beautiful part of the state. So, where is the trailer in one location, or do you move it?
Well, we had it in three. We park in New Haven a couple of days, Monday, Tuesday. Mercy Hospital has been amazing. We have a strong relationship. We park at Mercy Hospital in Washington, and I actually go to every nursing station inside the hospital and take orders, and we deliver coffee because the nurses can't come out. And the rest of the week, we're at the good old VFW parking lot, which I love the location because the VFW mean a lot to me as well. But now suddenly I've gone from one trailer to three, so I'm looking for locations.
Well, we might have listeners who can help you out with that. Here's something I would like to put on your radar, and Sue, I think you would agree. I would love to meet you in person at one of our fish fries. And Sue, if we get down toward Washington, certainly we might be in Eureka. Maybe you can come up. We do Fish Fry Fridays. We do broadcast 7 different Fridays from remote locations. And Hank, it'd be awesome to get to meet you and shake your hand and share the story a little bit more. But this was amazing.
Yep.
And here's the other thing about a segment like this. Guess what I already texted Ethan?
Best
of. This will get repeated. People need to hear this story. Hank, thank you so much. And they did hear this story, right? And he did come to a fish fry. Remember that in the spring?
Yes.
And Sue, you introduced us to Hank. It was one of my favorite introductions of all year.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, crews have cleared that accident westbound 70 approaching David Hochul Parkway. All lanes are open. But traffic is still jammed. I mean, it went back through Lake St. Louis Boulevard, so it's taking a while to unwind. And that jammed up westbound 64 out in that area. Eastbound 270, unwinding a bit. We had an earlier incident with a tractor trailer, and it was blocking the eastbound lanes. Then you could go around it on Riverview. Still some slow-moving traffic up there. We've got westbound 40 lining up approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. But 70 looks pretty good out of downtown. But eastbound is slow as you ramp onto the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
From our family at Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation to yours. Happy holidays.
You want to hurry this up, Mark? I'm freezing my baguettes off.
Relax, Grandpa. Air Comfort Service is on their way. Aubrey, you're not doing anything. You want to let me know when they get here?
Honey, her eyes are frozen shut. Gus.
Avoid a 5-alarm emergency with an HVAC system check from Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Learn more at aircomfortservice.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
If you're trying to sell a home, there's only one agent in town that I trust, Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
This holiday season, when you get them Steel, batteries are included. Buy select battery tool sets and get a free extra battery. Visit SteelUSA.com for gift ideas and seasonal savings. Happy holidays from Steel. Offer valid for a limited time only at participating dealers while supplies last.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Tomorrow evening in the 5 to 6 p.m. hour, I am going to once again be allowed to play some Christmas music. I'm looking forward to that. We're off on Wednesday. The whole show is because Annie's Christmas special is going to air throughout the day. So that's going to be fun. I wanted to get Frank Cusumano on here a little earlier because there's so much sports to talk about as we take you into the weekend. We got some more best of segments coming up in the next hour. Hi, Frank. Happy Monday. How are you?
Good to be with you, Mark. Doing well.
I guess let's start with the Chiefs because that's the news of the day. We knew this was going to happen, but they're heading to Kansas. The deal, I guess, is done at this point. I'm hearing the Royals might, eventually join them over across the other line. It's just kind of a gut punch. I don't know. Does it matter in the whole scheme of people on this side of the state watching football or even being a Chiefs fan? I don't know, but it just kind of sucks, the feeling here right before Christmas.
Well, it does because the Arrowhead football experience is one of the very best in football. It may be the best. It has a college feel with the tailgating. It's such an iconic building, and I think all the success that the Chiefs have had, makes it more iconic. But it really is a shame, and it just gives you an idea. In the end, these NFL owners, they're just all about what's the best deal they can possibly get.
By the way, who's going to be the Chiefs starting quarterback the rest of the season? Because now they've lost Minshew, I think, too, haven't they?
Yeah, they put that guy in yesterday whose name escapes me right now. But, boy, I'll tell you, if I'm Travis Kelce, I think, tomorrow in practice, I come up with a little hamstring issue.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to play another football game.
No, I think you're right about that. All right, the Cardinals, we knew they were going to get active. They've been a little active over the weekend. But is it only – I kind of joked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago. Is Chaim Bloom only capable of cutting deals with his former team, the Boston Red Sox? Because that's the way it seems right now.
Yeah, it felt like that way with John Mozeliak and the Cleveland Guardians for a stretch there. I don't mind the deal at all, though, Mark. I'm one of these guys that if you would keep like Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras and Brendan Donovan, you would be at the end of the season a sub-500 team, but with no hope.
Yeah, no, I get it.
By trading these guys, you're going to be under 500 for sure, maybe even a little worse, but you have some hope. I mean, they've acquired some interesting talent. This Fajardo, the one of the minor league prospects they got from Boston, has a chance to be, I think, special. And then Hunter Dobbins is going to be in your rotation next season. Look, the bottom line is assemble as many young, talented arms you possibly can, and you're going to hit with some and you're going to miss with some, but I like the idea.
Frank, when you look at what they have gotten in return from Boston for Sonny Gray and now Wilson Contreras, there's been a little bit of a mixture of both, right? You've gotten some lottery tickets, and you've also gotten some guys that you know are going to be able to probably contribute in 2026. Do you think that Chaim Bloom and this front office with specifically Brendan Donovan, do you think that will be the continued mindset, or do you think that with Donnie they're going to try and cash in as much on highest regarded talent in the prospect pool as possible?
Well, I mean, you'd love to have somebody that's somewhat major league ready like Hunter Dobbins. But the bottom line is you want to invade, let's just say it is the San Francisco Giants. You want to invade that top 10 list and get, two of their top 10 prospects. That's what I'd like to see. Some of these guys with the Red Sox, they were like 20th with Boston, and they immediately joined the Cardinals system, and MLB ranks them as the 8th or 9th best Cardinal prospect. So I think Donovan is your most marketable guy because he's young and plays multiple positions. He's not expensive. He's a Gold Glover. He's an all-star. I think he's going to yield you the most return of any player they move. And I think Jojo Romero, before it's all said and done, is going to bring you something interesting too.
Well, we got the bragging rights game tonight, Mizzou and Illinois. It's a legendary affair. There have been some crazy, crazy games. I was at that triple overtime game way back. When was that, 1992 or 1993? It was amazing. I was working in Columbia, Frank, then, and I remember driving home that night on a complete amazing high because that game was so amazing. And it seems like, I know Illinois is very good. They're ranked. I think they're 18. Sometimes in this game, it doesn't matter who's ranked higher. I am a little concerned, though, about the Tigers tonight losing by double digits. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm worried. By the way, that game in 93, it was the last game ever at the old barn, the arena. And I can still picture Kejuan Garris missing the free throws and Norm Stewart down the sidelines. It's one of the 10 best games I've ever seen. So I'm with you on that one. But in terms of this one tonight, yeah, I'd be awfully worried if I'm a Tiger fan. Illinois has been ranked as high as 8th. I think they're down to 13th right now. But they're one of these modern teams, Mark, where they have 2 7-footers. They have length. They have athleticism. They have all these European guys. And they've played a really hellacious schedule. They have good wins against Texas Tech and Tennessee. They played just a hellacious schedule, while Mizzou, they really don't have a good win yet. And I'd be worried. Now, they're going to get Stone back, I think, tonight, Jaden Stone, who's a good player. And it is a rivalry game. It's a legitimate point. Rivalry games, sometimes it doesn't matter the talent of the rosters, but I'd be surprised if Illinois doesn't win tonight.
Hey, I have not gone I don't go every year, but I haven't gone in a few years. But it's still always my favorite moment. And I don't know when it happens, if it's in the first half or the second half, where they do the timeout and the Illinois cheerleaders are out there and the Mizzou cheerleaders, and the guys have to hold up the ladies on their hands way up in the air as long as they can. There's like 5 on each side.
That's fun.
And whoever lasts the longest. And I remember one year there was this really big dude, and he had the cheerleader up in the air for Mizzou. And then Mizzou's other cheerleaders dropped, boom, boom, boom. So it was like that dude against 5 Illinois cheerleaders, and he lasted the whole time, and the place went nuts. So that's kind of a fun moment at that game tonight. One more Mizzou question on the football side. I don't know if he only has experience in being mentored by Sharon Moore in how to bang assistants, but Chip Lindsey is the next offensive coordinator for the University of Missouri. What do we know about him and that choice?
Well, it's an interesting pick because you know who the Patriots' starting quarterback is?
Yes.
Yes. Well,
he looked good last night, didn't he?
Spectacular. And
Drake
he
May.
was tutored. Drake May was tutored by Chip Lindsey at North Carolina, so he's developed some good quarterbacks. He's been in a lot of places, and I think, here's what I really like about him, besides the Drake May factor, is that there's a couple of big linemen from the state of Missouri that are a part of that Michigan roster, and maybe he brings some of those guys with him. I mean, if you're a Michigan football player, or a Michigan coach, you got to think, what the heck am I doing up here? I mean, this place is totally chaos. Why not head to Mizzou with my OC and have a good time in my home state?
Absolutely.
We had a couple of upsets in the college football playoff first round on Friday and Saturday. A couple of them were duds also, but now we have the quarterfinals coming up over the new year, Frank. Of those two teams that had the upsets, Alabama, Miami, what are your thoughts?
Upsets?
Well,
really
they were according to the lines.
Okay, all
so
right.
I mean, they were pretty close. But I mean, I thought that I had both Oklahoma and A&M winning, so I was surprised. But do you expect either of those two teams to make things interesting against Ohio State and Indiana?
Well, I think in the end, the last two schools you mentioned are going to be the ones that are going to be standing. And I think it would be a great rematch for the national championship game. But I'd keep an eye on Georgia, too. And I think Georgia's like the only team. And then Oregon looked so good for a half there. Of course, they didn't play anybody. But look, I still think it's Ohio State and Indiana. But if anybody can beat the two, it'll be Georgia.
I hate to even admit this, Ethan, because I watched that game the other night. But Alabama looked really good in a strong finish. So
the second half, yeah.
But I mean, I don't think you can count anything off with any of these games. I think Alabama's going to make it tough for Indiana, but we'll see what happens as we head into next week. All right, Frank, I'm off for a couple of weeks here, so I think you might be on Friday. I'm not sure. We got some fill-in hosts, but have a great Christmas, and thanks for everything over the last year. We always appreciate it. Are you going to be at the game tonight?
Yeah, the whole family. We're all going. Yeah,
might see you down there. All right, take care. Thank you so much. It is a fun event, and that triple overtime game, Ethan, you weren't even born yet, I don't think, when that took place.
No, I was. My parents weren't even married yet, Mark.
It was the biggest. I've been, I covered the team for almost 10 years and sat on the press table at the University of Missouri at Hearn Center before there was Mizzou Arena, and I saw some amazing games in there. I remember a double overtime game with Oklahoma where I've never heard that place as loud, the Hearn Center, as I did, and Mizzou won that game. But the Bragging Rights game that night was so freaking special and there's going to be empty seats tonight because it was packed, right? It was a big deal. I think
Has it always been
teams
played
might
in
be
St.
ranked.
Louis, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this goes back, and what's interesting is you can kind of tell the difference in what the schools are doing. So, half the arena tonight will be, my guess would be more than half is going to be orange because Mizzou's not, right there, and I think there's not going to be a sellout. It's fun when there's a sellout.
Next year might be a different story.
Well, yes, it should be a different story, but it really is one of those things where, Illinois is heavily favored. They should be. I've watched them play. They lost to Nebraska at home a couple weeks ago, and they got a little outmatched there. But, Mizzou's got talent. They just have to put it together. So we'll see what happens tonight. Couple of best of segments going to continue in the next hour, including a visit with Kenny Wallace, who's always one of our favorites. But Sue, you might remember Kenny went to Europe. And
yep.
Kenny Wallace recapping a European vacation is legendary, and he's going to do it right around the corner.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Hey, some good news in traffic. Eastbound 270 has thinned out. That is all headed for Riverview, where we had an earlier incident involving a tractor trailer. Westbound 40 is like the usual volume. So that means approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound is slow. Mason through 270 and then east of Lindbergh through Big Bend. Not a parking lot, just a slow go. Westbound 70, moderate volume Jennings Station Road, but we had an accident reported really close to Highway A, and that's created a jam. And we have a parking lot because of an accident westbound 64 at the 70-64 split. Look for a jam back through Lake St. Louis Boulevard. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, it's Mark Cox. Can you believe it's already the holiday season? While most people are thinking about lights and gift lists, a lot of homeowners are also wondering if now's the right time to sell or if they should wait until the new year. So I'm here with Gloria Liu from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria, what should sellers be thinking about right now?
Great question. Even during the holidays, serious buyers are still out there, and with fewer homes on the market, sellers actually face less competition. When we get into the new year, listings start to spike and competition rises. But that's never a problem for my clients because I guarantee to sell your home at your price and time frame, or I will buy it myself. Whether you want to move now or after the holidays, we'll make it smooth and stress-free.
That's why Gloria Lou's the trusted choice for St. Louis home sellers. Call 314-325-6888 or visit gloriahasthebuyers.com. From all of us, happy holidays, and here's to your next move being your best one.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Hi, I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, America's largest family law firm. During this time of year, difficult relationships sometimes become impossible. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
What stresses you out about the holidays? Maybe it's getting that house just perfectly clean. If that's the case, call my friends at Zero Res. Mark Cox here. Is your house ready for the holidays? Well, here's your phone number, 314-474-2020. That gets you to Zero Res. Here's the deal. If you need your season to be jolly and you don't want to stress out and you want to make sure the house is perfectly clean to impress your in-laws and your friends when they come over, just remember, you can Zero Res anything. They can do grout and tile and carpet and air ducts and hardwood. It is for your home and your business. Zero Res can handle it all. They do it with zero residue, no harsh chemicals or cleaners, and your house is beautiful. Go ahead and get it clean. Don't miss out. Call 314-474-2020. Tell them you want the 97.1 special. The spots are filling up fast. Go to ZeroResSTL.com.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broke and it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly because we're open till 8. JerryKelly.com. They'll be here quick and have you feeling good. JerryKelly.com. Because your furnace will be running like it should. They're certified technicians, I've been told. Will help you when it's hot and help you when it's cold. JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. JerryKelly.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Offering immigrants an incentive. I'm Tom Graham, Fox News. Kind of like a Christmas bonus, the Trump administration tripling the money it's offering migrants if they self-deport.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem revealing the department is tripling its so-called exit bonus for those who are in the U.S. illegally to self-deport by the end of the year.
We will give you $3,000 through the holidays to send you home. We'll buy you a ticket, give you $3,000 to go home, and that includes people that have not been detained, maybe have interacted with us, are detained and don't have criminal charges against them.
Noem explaining on Fox and Friends they can do so through the Customs and Border Protection app. The department launched the program in May amid its wide-ranging immigration crackdown, initially offering $1,000. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
The Coast Guard is pursuing another sanctioned oil tanker in the Caribbean as the Trump administration announced a blockage of tankers in and out of Venezuela. The seizure follows the targeting of several drug trafficking boats.
A U.S. official says this oil tanker is part of Venezuela's illegal sanctions evasion. American authorities have a seizure warrant for the ship. The pursuit comes after the U.S. Coast Guard intercepted a second oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela on Saturday. While not all Republicans support the seizures, many of them are backing the president. The moves are the latest escalation in the administration's pressure campaign against President Nicolas Maduro, whose leadership they see as untenable. Targeting Venezuela's oil sector will have ripple effects in Cuba, too, which relies on crude imports from the country.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. President Trump announcing the construction of what he's calling the Golden Fleet, a series of new warships officially named Trump-class.
We're desperately in need of ships. Our ships are... Some of them have gotten old and tired and obsolete, and we're going to go the exact opposite direction.
President speaking from his Mar-a-Lago estate in South Florida. America's listening to Fox News.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast!
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Sniffles and sneezes got you down? GoodRx is here to help with big savings on commonly prescribed cold and flu meds. GoodRx is free and easy to use. GoodRx is accepted at all major pharmacies like CVS, Walmart, and Walgreens. Just search your prescription, find a coupon, then show your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx is not insurance, but it works whether you have insurance or not. If you do, GoodRx may beat your copay price. Download the free app or visit goodrx.com to save today.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
It is a very non-December week for our holiday week. Partly cloudy skies. 46 should do it for the overnight low. All is quiet. On Tuesday, partly sunny, 62. A weak cool front sweeps by on Tuesday night. No real effect other than some clouds and 44. Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy, 69 degrees. The record's 73, so that's safe. Christmas Eve, Wednesday night, cloudy, a sprinkle or two, 55. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, he quite famously said this many years ago when he was in the studio filling in for me, working with Fred.
How about old Fred Bottenheimer over there, ladies and gentlemen?
It's our favorite soundbite, of course. And Kenny, one of our favorite guests. And this was an awesome conversation from earlier this year when he went to Europe and he got back. A couple of weeks ago, because he's a friend and I follow him on social media, as you should too. Our friend Kenny Wallace, NASCAR legend, was in Europe and he was on the Autobahn and things like that. This is a really fun clip.
Now we are on the Autobahn and we are hauling butt. Show them here, John. We're running, 200 kilometers. I'm wide open. It won't go anymore. And this is unbelievable. This is awesome. Wide open. Just digging. This is what we came to Germany for, race fans. Look at that.
That's the classic Kenny Wallace laugh.
My man. And you do know the name Earnhardt is a German name. We're getting it.
All right, so then he was in Italy. He's in Germany. He was in Italy.
Okay, you're going to experience this with me for the first time. Leaving the train station here in Venice. Let's see what we see. Oh, my God. I mean, it's right away. Right away. Damn. Look at this. How old's all this stuff, John?
I have no idea. Looks pretty old, though.
Look at this. I mean, right away. Just like in the movies.
Sue, I would say that you'd be hard-pressed to find a Netflix show that was better than Kenny Wallace's trip to Italy and Germany. He's with us on the phone this afternoon. I was immensely entertained. How are you this afternoon? Welcome back to America.
Well, thank you. That was the trip of my lifetime, and the reason it was is because I just couldn't get over that. You know, the Roman Colosseum was 1,975 years old.
Right.
And then you walk across the street, the Roman Forum, and, you know, that's where Julius Caesar was assassinated. And then, you know, it was overwhelming.
The history,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you think about, look, we're very proudly going to celebrate 250 years of this country, but it pales in comparison to all the history over in Europe, and certainly Rome, I've been there before, is quite amazing. So you had a blast over there.
I had a good time, and of course, I wanted to share it with everybody, you know. So I downloaded pictures every night, made a video. It's not like I was doing it every minute on the minute. It'd be like take pictures during the day, and then, you know, we were 7 hours ahead of you all, so then it was so much fun to share on social media.
It was fun to follow, Kenny.
It was. I texted him at one point, and I said, Sue and I are just completely enjoying your trip. But one thing that we noticed, and you sent me the clarification on this, and we weren't the only ones that noticed, but your lovely wife, Kim, was not on this trip with you, Kenny Wallace. We noticed that.
Right. So Kim, when I met Kim is this very studious girl that makes straight A's. She's afraid of the police. When I first met Kim and I'd take her, you know, on a date, there's a cop. She's always been afraid, you know, and it's in her DNA. So she thought that it was going to be terrorism, that I was going to go over there and there's a good chance I was going to be killed. And so she has never been the one to leave the country. Now, she'd go up to Canada and go down to Cabo, but she has never. I mean, for 20 years, she says, I'm not going over there. And for 20 years, I finally said, okay, I'm going.
Yeah, she had no problem sending you over to get killed, though, did she? Notice that.
Yeah, well, she'll end up with a lot of money.
Oh, my gosh, that made me laugh.
I said, honey, when I die, just don't give all the money to people that don't deserve it. She'll probably spend it every Friday and Saturday night down at River City Casino.
No doubt. All right, so let's start with Italy, because what were the highlights there? You did some, where'd you go to tour over there? Some car stuff, right?
Yep, I would say, we flew to the UK, we flew to London, got on another plane, and went 2.5 hours down to Rome. Now, as far as Rome, Italy goes, I would say tied would be the Vatican, St. Peter Basilica, and the Roman Colosseum and the Forum. Those things right there. But I will say this, the reason I went over there was because, on Christmas, I would watch the Pope do Mass, and to be in St. Peter Basilica was very overwhelming. I met some nuns, on the Vatican side. I bought 14 little wooden crosses, brought them back to the family, they can wear around their neck. But it was just awesome. But those things right there, the Sistine Chapel, I realized how small it was. It wasn't grandiose right as you leave the Vatican, and then walk around the corner to St. Peter, and then realize the first Pope, St. Peter is buried right there where the Pope, does, Christmas Mass every Christmas Eve, St. Peter buried underneath there. But, there's so much to say, and I just don't want to talk too much, but those were the things that were just overwhelming awesome.
Yeah, they make an impression on you. You've been to Rome, Sue?
I have.
Yeah.
I liked Venice, Kenny, and we just heard you walking out of the train station and saying it's just like in the movies, because it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to me, what was amazing about Venice was I studied the history. So, the Roman Empire, they were just gangsters. They were brutal, right? So the Roman Empire, they would just pillage and just kill people. And it was horrible, horrible history. So then they would bring back everything, to Rome. But as far as Venice goes, this was a group of people that were fleeing because the Roman Empire was taking everybody's land. So this group went to Venice, and this land was very soft. They were so desperate for land. If you go through my Facebook, there's an incredible video there. So they went to Venice. They said, okay, this is where we want to be, but the land is too soft. So they got on their ships, went over to Croatia, found these big old long trees like telephone poles, brought them back to Venice, pile-drived thousands and thousands of these poles in the ground.
It's amazing.
And then,
wow.
Yeah. And that's what they lived on. They ended up with granite on top, and they built all these buildings.
I love that you absorbed the history.
Yes.
You're able to educate us here this afternoon as well. Didn't you go to Ferrari as well? Did I see that?
I did, and John Scatone, he's my investor, a good friend of mine. He's up in Chicago, and he's got family in Sicily, so he's the one that made the trip so awesome. We got on the Italo, which is a bullet train. It was going, but it was going fast. I don't know the mile per hour, but yeah, we went to Modena.
I was there from Barcelona or Madrid to Barcelona on high speed, and yeah, it chugs along. I like it.
Yeah, so much fun. So we went up, we stopped at Modena, or they call it Modena or something like that. They pronounce everything a little differently than we do. We pronounce it the way it says it. They use the flair to it. But we went to Ferrari, which is, like the number one team in Formula One, Ferrari and Mercedes-Benz. That was awesome. We were there when Lewis Hamilton was there, which is now that was big. But we didn't get to see him. We missed him by one day that he got on their practice track. In Formula One over there is like soccer over there. It's massive. It's like football over here. So when Lewis Hamilton was testing, they were going nuts. Then we went over to Lamborghini the next day. And then that was awesome because we really mixed some racing in there.
I would like you to explain the challenges. This is something that catches a lot of American tourists off guard, but sometimes you got to pay to pee over there, don't you?
Yeah, that was wild. So we leave Venice, we fly up to Frankfurt. We fly way north on purpose because we want to get on the Autobahn. So I rent this Mercedes, and I'm running like 158 mile an hour, and the Autobahn is very regulated. It is not a free for all, but you pull over, you go to the bathroom, and they're very nice gas stations, but every gas station you have to pay €1 to go to the bathroom. Now they are extremely nice bathrooms, but you just have to have that little $1 coin. I would say it keeps out all the druggies and all the riffraff,
right.
and you don't want to pay, but boy, it was worth it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Totally.
They are very clean, and because when I was with a tour, we had some of this. I think it was in Frankfurt because we went through Germany as well to get to Spain, and then you get some crabby folks that are like, but they are clean. It's like the Cadillac of restrooms, I think, and that's what they do. I don't know that we do that at all here. Does any city do that?
No,
we have to.
I don't.
Does New York City do it? Because it's hard to find sometimes.
It is
toilets, which is why they do that there.
I got off a train one time in France on a bike trip, and I went in and to the restroom at a train station, and it was a hole in the concrete.
Oh, absolutely. I've done that too. Yeah,
I was like, I can hold it to wherever we're going.
I think I experienced that in France. It was either France or Italy. Yes. Yeah, where we go into it's like a porta potty, and it's just porta potty rather. It's just a hole in the ground. That's it.
I'd rather pay €1 any day.
I'm with you on
well,
that.
let me just say this: the last time I paid to go to the bathroom was when I was a kid, up at White Castle at Limburg and 21. They would make because all the kids are up there smoking dope and partying, and that you used to have to pay to go to the bathroom at White Castle on Limburg and 21.
That is amazing. That's a great St. Louis memory.
Smoking dope.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you like the food over there though, didn't you?
Oh my God! The biggest thing I learned in Rome was to use olive oil instead of butter, and I never realized how good olive oil. I did it this morning. I took my Dave's whole wheat bread and toasted it and cut it in half and just poured a little bit of oil and vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
It cuts down on that cholesterol. But, yeah, the food in Italy is absolutely fantastic. And, their caprese and their bruschetta, just something clean about it all.
It really is. One of my favorite things to do, and you probably did this, I saw some pictures, but France is great for this, Italy too. Just sit on outside on a cafe and people watch. Yeah. It's kind of amazing.
It was crazy how much fun it was to get up in the morning, have breakfast, and then just walk your butt off. I mean, we were walking 8 miles a day, but then around 2 o'clock we would stop, and you know already what I'm saying. You would just we got these Americanos. They were a watered down, bigger coffee because the espresso is 100% caffeine and like a couple sips and it's over. But we would get some type of pastry and a coffee and sit there for 35 minutes and then say, okay, you ready to go again? We would start walking again,
It's a lot of fun. Hey, did you engage in any conversation about U.S. politics with Italians or Germans?
100%. It was amazing. Give me a minute to tell you this story.
Oh, I want to hear it.
So we're coming out of St. Peter's Basilica, right? I mean, the home of Roman Catholic. I mean, this is big. So it's late at night. The sun's going down. It's around 7 o'clock, and we're leaving St. Peter. Well, we're still in Vatican City. So I'm like, I'm ready for another coffee and a cannoli, whatever. And I got on my phone, and this is when Trump, because see, there's 7-8 hour difference. So this exact moment, Trump is being sworn into office to be the president. So I got my phone on, and I'm on X, and boom, C-SPAN's beautiful, clear as get out. All of a sudden, before I know it, all these Italian waiters started gathering around me, four of them. And the whole restaurant started gathering around my phone. Now, this is accurate, no exaggeration.
Oh, wow.
And the one thing I remember them looking at me saying was that we used to not like Trump, but we really like Trump now. And so everybody in Italy really likes Trump, is, what was my experience.
That's interesting. Well, I believe that. There has been an evolution over there as well.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
That's kind of a cool story. I'm interested to hear that.
Did you miss all the snow and ice and all that stuff, or did you get some of that before you left?
Oh, I got it all. And then I ended up leaving here. I flew up to Chicago. I got there about 1 on that Friday, I think. And then, we got on British Airways and we flew on over. But no, I experienced all the snow, all the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but I got to say this, okay? Forgetting about my Europe trip just for a minute. It is so much fun right now.
Oh my God!
Because the Republicans are just kicking their butts. And that Maxine Waters, she's like a cartoon character. She looks at that guy. She goes, "Well, look at you. Let's look at him, everybody. Look at him. He won't let us in." And it was hilarious.
Are you on top of the Musk name change today on Twitter?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wait, hang on here. For people, this is glorious. I've played it once, but it will repeat every hour.
Now, the disruptor-in-chief, Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Harry Balls.
Can you believe that?
He changed it back now, but it was up there for a good portion of the day. And the trolling that he's doing with the CNN types, their heads are exploding, dude. You know this, Kenny.
Oh, and for the smartest man in the world, it like Trump says, he's a gift. And all he's doing is going in there and going, "Oh, man, look at all this stuff." And he's out before they even, can say anything. It's like, you can't stop paying the people. It's like, okay, well, Trump goes, "I'll make an executive order for, him to go check everybody out." And it amazes me to no end that people are so stupid. I mean, some of these Democrats, they can't see the forest for the woods.
Oh, they're lost. They're broken right now. They really are, especially the media members. They don't know how to handle this.
and Trump's doing so much. It's like whatever subject they're on, Trump's on another subject 2 hours later.
It is dizzying. It really is. That is true. That is a conversation we had with Kenny in February. And, one of the questions, and Sean Spicer and I talked about this a couple of months ago, because it is so dizzying, and he was out there today renaming battleships and stuff like that, can you maintain that pace into next year in the midterms? That's going to be one of the most important questions. We'll find out, that's for sure. But a great conversation with Kenny Wallace. We lost, I don't want to seem like they've died, but we've lost some key media people in St. Louis that have been around for a long time. John Pertzborn among them. Had a great conversation about his career and retirement. We'll air that next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got an accident westbound 70 on the on-ramp from westbound 6440, and it has created a jam out there. Westbound is just a parking lot back to Highway N. 70 a little slow, but then you really jam westbound 70 headed for Forestell. There was an accident there. And eastbound 70, there's an accident before Wright City. And then you get a break, and traffic slams to a stop again, Wright City, to an accident near Forestell. So really kind of awful out there. Now, there's an accident reported northbound 170, really close to the Rock Road. Watch for that on the shoulder. Traffic, though, slow behind it. And westbound 6440, a slow go. It looks like almost Kings Highway. We'll call it approaching Hampton out through McCausland. But slow pockets eastbound, east of Lindbergh through Big Bend. And let's see, 55 actually looks pretty good. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, I am heading over to Enterprise to see the Bragging Rights game tonight. It's the 45th anniversary of one of the best rivalries in college basketball. It's a great opportunity to talk about the Missouri Athletic Club because they have, I guess they're kind of in the middle of a game day celebration. They're doing a little pre-gaming right now over at the downtown location of the MAC and the Jack Buck Grill. And if you didn't get over there before the game, they have a tailgate buffet going on right now until 7 p.m. And then afterwards, you come back over and have a game day dinner at the Jack Buck Grill. There's always great things happening at the MAC, and this is really a special time of year. If you don't have New Year's Eve plans, how about coming downtown and ringing it in at the MAC? They have amazing entrees for dinner that night, Scottish salmon, Alaskan halibut, red wine, braised beef short rib, Cajun stuffed chicken with blackened shrimp. The list goes on. They have amazing meals, and you got to make reservations. And then obviously there's a fee involved. There's a jazz trio performing New Year's Eve at the downtown clubhouse of the Missouri Athletic Club. And you can always find out more about what the MAC is doing on the website, mac-stl.org.
Well, it's the holiday season, and folks like me and maybe you are looking right now at your financial situation, wondering how it can be better. Stewie is here with me right now. What's Stewart's American Mortgage doing for folks this holiday season when it comes to their financial position?
You know what, Annie, you're right. The holidays are here, and maybe it's time to think about what you can do to improve the quality of your life and your family's life. Maybe refinance and get a lower payment. Maybe take cash out for those projects and consolidate debt. Maybe even decide to buy a home. These are all options that are in front of you. Look back and say, what can I do to make my life better? It's here. It's an option for you. It's the holiday season, folks. Let's go ahead and make things happen and bring the new year in with a better quality of life.
That action, it's a phone number. Call or text 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. And you're going to connect with Stewie directly. Google the Bagel Loan for more information. NMLS number 226715. One of the biggest gifts you can give your family is peace of mind. That's why I trust and recommend Civia Law. They've helped so many families, including mine, right here in our community with estate planning, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and elder law issues. I've seen how stressful it can be when a loved one passes without a plan. Families are left confused, sometimes tied up in probate court, and it can cost so much in time and money. But with Civia Law, you don't have to worry about that. They'll walk you through everything and even deliver your completed documents in just 2 weeks from your first appointment. And here's something special just for you. Mention the Annie Fry Show, and the first 10 listeners right now will get a free strategy session. That's a $300 value. 833-995-WILL. Just be sure to mention the Annie Fry Show when you call. Civia Law has 7 convenient locations across Illinois and Missouri, including in Edwardsville, Swansea, and Creve Coeur. Secure your legacy and protect the people you love. Call 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL, or visit CiviaLaw.com.
'Tis the season, and Quick Trip is turning your phone into the gift that keeps on giving and giving and giving with QT's Holidays. From now till the end of the season, when you open the QT app, you'll automatically get 1 free gift per day. We're talking classic QT treats like coffee, pizza, or donuts, ready to make your taste buds sing carols of joy. Plus, exclusive deals from your favorite brands. With a new surprise waiting for you every day, your phone will be stuffed with more treats than your stocking. QT's Holidays. Open the QT app for your daily gift.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
Fast-paced, fact-based, and never boring. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Having a little fun with some segments that we've aired in the past year, even in the past couple of months. This one's from October as John Pertzborn, legend at Fox 2, decided to call it quits. Well, we're losing a legendary media. Well, he's not going to die. I don't think he's going to die. John Pertzborn, Fox 2 anchor and reporter, is retiring as of next Wednesday. I'm a fan. He listens to this show. I invited John to come in and share some thoughts as he moves on to the next chapter. Again, I don't think he's dying. John Pertzborn, how are you?
I'm doing good, Mark. This is kind of like a debriefing. You're going to help me through this process.
I was going to ask you, is it kind of like a eulogy for a funeral? All these people are kind of saying goodbye to you, right?
It is. That's what it feels like. You know, people say, how do you feel? What's it like? I have no idea. I've never done it before.
Right, exactly.
You know, and I'm too busy to even think that it's all going to end after Wednesday. And that's kind of a weird thought. I'll know Thursday how I feel.
Yeah, so you think you'll be okay with it? Like, you're not just going to sit on your ass, right, moving forward. But look, you've had this existence for a long, long time, right?
Yeah, I just kind of stumbled into this profession as a kid, you know, calling into radio shows.
Yeah, talk about that, because I saw that on the bio a little bit. You're really young and you start calling radio shows?
Yeah, so this would have been in the early 70s. My brother was in Vietnam, and I was lonely. And I think he did 2 tours. And, you know, my dad was in politics locally in Dane County, Wisconsin, county board supervisor. And so I was kind of on my own. And I just thought, well, I'm going to call into this radio talk show because they were big back then. They were on AM. And I called in. I called myself the Canada Kid.
Did you really?
Yeah, I liked the alliteration, you know, and I thought Canada was really cool.
Wait, how old are you at this time?
Let's see, 70. I was about 12.
Okay.
11 or 12.
Well, that makes sense.
And I went to, the malls were new. They just started opening up these malls. And I went into this mall, and there were these people there from Quebec, Canada. And they gave me a little maple leaf sticker. I was into stickers, STP stickers and all this. I thought, that's cool. I want to be Canadian. I want to live in Canada. So I just started calling into these radio stations and just blabbing. And the announcer, I still remember their names because I called one of them recently within the last 2 years. And he was an old man. He didn't remember. But I told him this whole story. And I said, you really inspired me. He's like, oh, okay, thanks.
Well, what's funny is I always tend to make things about me, so I'll do that here for a moment as we're talking to you, John. But when I was that age, I was also calling radio stations in Chicago. I would get off school, and I'd call Bob Surratt, who was on WLS at the time. And it was the great disc jockeys
I remember Bob.
at WLS.
Yeah, he was
and
huge.
then, it was really weird. One of the names on their early 70s, his guy was named Fred Winston. He's one of the legends up there. Well, when I went on KMOX, Fred lived in I think he's still alive. He lived in Michigan, and he could get the signal up there. So one of the guys that I was like inspired by to get into this business was now listening to me when I was doing some of the late night stuff on KMOX. That was kind of surreal, right?
It was. Well, the one guy's name was Franklin Smith, and that's the guy I called. And I told him this whole story, and you allowed me to come into the radio station one day, and you let me see your entire talk show, and then we went and met the mayor. And I'll never forget, I was in the mayor's room, and all the news reporters were there. And I remember it was during the election when Eagleton was running, and the shock treatment and all of that came up.
Yeah,
that was
big
a St.
deal.
Louis
Right,
thing.
absolutely.
And that was the big story. And then the mayor said, well, what did you think? And I went, cool. That's all I could say. I was like, and it was just, I was mesmerized by this. I remember the guy's car. I remember the cologne. I remember what he was wearing. And I called him up and I said, I just want to tell you, years ago, he goes, I don't remember. He goes, are you Jim's kid? I go, yeah. And he goes, oh, your dad was great.
Oh, he remembered Dad.
Remember my dad.
Yeah.
And then it all came together. My dad, he starts telling me this story. He was out on a date with his girlfriend. My dad saw him over there, knew I was interested in radio, and said, hi. Picked up the bill. They went to pay it. The bill was taken care of. He calls my dad to thank him. And says, hey, if I can ever do anything. He goes, well, there is one thing.
Right.
And that's how I ended up on that. I never knew that till years later.
So let's fast forward a little. You end up going to UW in Madison for journalism school. Mm-hmm. Then what happens? When you land here in St. Louis? I mean, you were here 80s, right?
Yeah, 86 I came here. I worked at a CBS affiliate in Madison. And then I left, the recession hit, and I went up to Wausau, Wisconsin, spent 4 months there. When a job opened in Green Bay, and I jumped. I said, I got to take it.
Yeah.
And they gave it to me. And I spent 4 or 5 years there and then came to St. Louis. My father had been coming down to St. Louis for years. Every year, he would go to the White House retreat with a group of men. And it was a retreat house, and I guess they were praying or whatever. But he'd come back, and he was just like super dad for about a month after that. He just walking on air. So I grew up looking at all of these videos, or not videos, I'm sorry, they were 8mm films.
Oh, yeah.
And they would come to St. Louis, they'd go to Stan Musial's Biggies, they'd tie one on, they'd all have drinks, and then they'd drive down to the retreat house. But I remember these films of the Mississippi River and the barges going back and forth, and I was mesmerized as a kid in the 60s. And I just said, I want to move there. I want to live there. And I did. In 86, got hired at KSDK.
Yeah, you were at Channel 5 for a while, right? You did Show Me St. Louis for a while. Is that true?
That came in 95. And, I spent 13 years there.
Then when did you go to Fox?
In 98.
So how long have you been doing mornings?
Since 98. And I am...
See that?
I'll tell you, that's why I'm
killer.
retired.
Yeah,
I get up at 1
killer.
o'clock in the morning. I'm living on European time. I listen to the BBC. And I get into work, and I'm usually to bed at 6 o'clock at night.
That early?
Yeah, and I'm asleep by 7.
Man, you know who John Anderson is, former ESPN anchor,
right?
Mizzou guy, right? Mm-hmm. So he's back there now in Columbia. He's doing some adjunct professor stuff, and I never met John, but I went out to dinner with him and the journalism professor David Kerpius in the winter to see a basketball game. And I asked John, and I said, "So why'd you give it up?" I mean, he had a big gig. He goes, Couldn't do it in the morning again. He'd done it his whole career. He said couldn't do it anymore. I mean, I did mornings, John, at WTMJ, and it wears on you. I can't believe you've done it for that long. I mean, that takes a lot of things out of the mix in the evenings, right? When it comes to living life.
Yeah. Meteorologist Glenn Zimmerman was on mornings for years with us, and he said something one day that resonated. He goes, "We're all sleep deprived." I'm like, "Yeah, we're zombies." And he goes, "I don't think we could do this job if we weren't."
Yeah.
I mean, like right now, I'm extremely tired, and I'm talking. When I'm well rested, I'm like a mute. I don't speak. I'm quiet. I'm a little more introverted, but there's something you're kind of punch drunk.
Yeah.
When you're lacking sleep, and I don't know how healthy it is. Dr. Ojal at the Clayton Sleep Institute says you're slowly killing yourself.
Oh, see, that's not good, right? That's why you retire.
Yeah, I got to.
Yeah, John Pertzborn is here. He is retiring next week on Wednesday, his last show on Fox 2 here in St. Louis. So what are those, I'm sure you've been asked this 100 times, the career highlights over all these years? So much has happened in St. Louis during the time that you've been here, sports-wise, news-wise,
we were just
media-wise.
I was just doing an interview. They've got a special tonight, and I was talking to the producer who put this together. 25 years ago, the death of Governor Carnahan.
Oh, Mel Carnahan, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, has it really been 25 years?
Yeah, that's crazy. And you know what's funny about
I wasn't even alive at the time, the producer. I'm like, ooh.
I was in Milwaukee. I was doing mornings, John. I'm driving in at 3 in the morning. There's a network newscast. I think we had ABC at the time, and they reported on that story. And I knew Chris Sifford, who was his chief of staff at the time.
A great guy.
Wasn't close with him, but that was devastating and a big national story.
Yeah, he was Margie
as well.
Ellisar's friend, and she just broke down. But I had the same experience. We were in different parts of the country. I was in St. Louis driving to work, and I'm hearing all of this talk about Mel Carnahan. I'm like, why are they talking so much about him? And all of a sudden, reiterating what happened earlier, and I'm like, oh my God, his son was flying the plane. Yeah, it was just a shocker.
Very, very sad. So let me kind of go back and return to the question about what's next. What is next? Are you just going to flat out retire? Are you going to get away from broadcasting? People like to do podcasts, John. I don't know if you've noticed that. Podcasting. Terrestrial radio people do not like podcasting, but that's what everyone seems to do. So are you going to kick back, play golf, do things like that, or is something else planned?
Well, my former co-host, Randy Naughton, has contacted me. She says, you've got to come on my podcast. We could do it together. She really loves doing this. Yeah, I'll come on there.
Stuff like that, maybe, right?
But I just don't have this biological need to be in the public.
That's good, though,
anymore.
I think.
Yeah,
that's healthy.
I mean, when I was younger, it was everything, and now it's just, it doesn't define me. The other thing, I really want to travel. My daughter-in-law's from Ukraine. When that nastiness ends, I want to go to Ukraine. I'd like to go back to Europe and maybe to Asia. I want to travel. I'm planning to go skiing in December out to Vail, Beaver Creek, and places like that.
You got all kinds of plans. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got a buddy
Love
just retired from the State Department. So, we haven't been together since college, and we have a lot to talk about. So we're going to go skiing, and my wife's coming out, and my son and his wife, and we're going to have a good time.
You seem at peace with it, which is good.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. Some people come up, is this your decision? I said, no, I'm not being fired. I'm retiring.
Right.
I'm 65. It's time, Yeah.
I always thought that I gave up my movie critic stuff a few years ago, and if you would have asked me before that, could you see yourself ever doing that? And I would be like, no, I'm always going to do this. It's going to be part of the fabric of my life.
Right.
Well, then, the pandemic came and things changed, and they started doing these interviews, that you do out in Hollywood on Zoom. I'm totally at peace with it. It's fine. So if anyone wants to give me the chance to retire, just write a check or something like that. I always ask Rex Singfield if he'll write me a check. He hasn't up until this point. All right. So if I ever have to sign off the air when it's my choice, John, I'm totally guessing I'm going to be fired at some point, and that's going to be it. But I think, and maybe the audience would be surprised by this, but I'd get emotional. I would get a little choked up. You think you'll be able to do this on Wednesday without getting emotional?
I don't know. Like today, I came close because Timmy Zell is dealing with
a
horrible
he's got health
disease,
issues, right?
And we ran a piece, and it came out of what Margie had done the interview, and that's really what I'm focusing on right now. I'm thinking about Tim.
Yeah,
and there's just so much going on. I have another friend who's not doing well, and it's just their health issues are kind of preoccupying.
Puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it really does.
These are wonderful people. Tim is the heart and soul of Fox 2. So,
and John, you know this. There's no more John Pertzborn that's moving forward. I mean, no one is going to stay in this business for 4 decades anymore. The media, right? It's changed too much.
I believe I went to the University of Wisconsin Journalism School. I do believe I'm one of the last still in the business from that class. And that was early 80s, 82.
I call myself a survivor in this business, right?
And I didn't even want to really do this. It was just a hobby. I think the same with you.
Yeah, it was just a passion.
Yeah.
I started music radio, but I segued after journalism school at Mizzou and, then started doing news and tried to figure it out from there. Well, listen, I'm a fan, you know that, and you connected with me pretty early because you knew I had Wisconsin ties, having
we went
lived
to
up
lunch,
there.
Remember?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And we sometimes have tried to get you on the afternoon, but you're taking your naps. But here's an open invitation for you. I do this Reardon Roundtable on Fridays. You can come in and be a member of the panel on the Reardon Roundtable. Now, I must say, John, that 10% of the panelists from the Reardon Roundtable end up in federal prison. So there's a slight risk for you to come on the show because we seem to have, but you're not a politician, so you got that going for you.
Right.
Well, have fun next week. Enjoy
Thank you.
retirement. I know I'm going to still hear from you because I hear from you via text when
I'm
you're
a
listening
fan,
sometimes.
Mark. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in. I really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for
Good
having
luck
me.
with everything. Yeah, it was one of my favorites. I love John, and he did connect with me early. And, I said there's no more John Pertzborns. There's no more John Pertzborns. There's no more Mike Bushes. Mike announced last week that he's retiring. They don't make them like that. The media industry has changed too much. So, and it hurts local journalism and reporting. It really does.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident reported southbound 67 past Mueller Road. The left lane blocked there. And there was a stall eastbound 255 before Telegraph. That one is off on the right shoulder. There was also a stall eastbound 70 past Cave Springs, kind of on the right-hand side. But where the volume is this afternoon is now on eastbound 6440. It's just east of Lindbergh through Big Bend, and that's jammed up southbound 170. But there's a serious jam or two out west. Eastbound 70, an accident before Wright City. That's created a parking lot jam. And then it's jammed. There was an accident near Forestel, and that has created a jam westbound, a little slow in that area as well. If you are headed into Illinois, things look fine on the Poplar, but westbound there's some moderate volume on the bridge. And southbound 270, some moderate volume on either side of Manchester. Now we have an accident reported southbound 270 approaching 55. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
One of my favorite chats of the year, the director of a great documentary called Norman's Rare Guitars. You can see it on Netflix. That's coming up next.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
Want to talk about Game Day Men's Health? Matt Lawrence has an awesome location right there at 6440 in Clarkson and Olive. And if you have, any kind of interest in testosterone health, if you want to optimize your energy levels, erectile dysfunction, they have great solutions there. Vitamin injections, peptides have really blown up. They can explain that to you. And medical weight loss as well. And that's for men and women. And this is something that's new since I've started talking about Game Day. They have their new FDA certified pharmacy. So that makes it a lot easier for you to get exactly what you're looking for from Game Day because it's such an efficient process. And on the process front, if you make an appointment at Game Day, they kind of pride themselves on this 1 hour in and out. Within about 20 minutes, you'll have some results from the blood test, get a free testosterone PSA test, and they come up with a plan. They discount pricing, and they have priority scheduling for all first responders, active duty, and veterans. And I mentioned peptides. They're blowing up right now. You can get a lot of misinformation online. Come to the experts at Game Day. They know everything about peptides, and they source them only from FDA-approved pharmacies. And again, they have their own pharmacy at Game Day. Find out more. They're in O'Fallon, Missouri, and in Chesterfield. GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm playing a little UFO here because this is a band that I love, and it's Michael Schenker's birthday today, one of the greatest guitarists on the planet. He plays a flying V, and that flying V, or at least a flying V, featured in the film we're about to talk about, which I love so much. It is out on Netflix right now. It's called Norman's Rare Guitars, and you're going to want to see it. I promise you that.
I never thought about opening a store in my life. It was really a plan B.
This is as organic a place as I have ever been with respect to someone trying to put the right guitar in the right person's hand to create something great.
I saw Norm's store on YouTube first.
When social media got big, everybody could see the people jamming out on the couch, and you want to know what's going on, check social media.
One of the voices you heard there was Kiefer Sutherland. He is featured prominently, and the director, the filmmaker, Devin Dilmore of Norman's Rare Guitars is with us this afternoon, 97.1 FM Talk. Devin, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I love the movie. We're going to talk about it, but first and foremost, are you safe out there, and is Norm safe in the guitar shop? Let's start with that.
Yeah, we're safe. It's been probably one of the worst fires I've ever seen. I definitely grew up here and dealing with lots of fires, but we're safe and we're all good. The winds have been in our favor, so as long as the winds keep pushing towards the ocean, we'll be okay, but, we feel saddened for everybody that's lost something,
Well, you feature, there's a couple folks in this film that I'm particularly fond of, and Taylor Goldsmith is one of them. He is the lead singer and guitarist for a band called Dawes, and unfortunately, Taylor and his brother Griff, who's the drummer, I'm told they lost everything in this. They lost their studio, their guitars, and they lost everything, is what I heard today. Terrible.
Ouch! I did not know about that. I will reach out. That's
it's just devastating, right? Well, let's talk about Norman
really
Harris. Norman Harris. Who is Norman Harris, Devin Dilmore? This guy, I'm ashamed that I didn't know who this guy is. I don't play guitar. I bought one in the 1970s, but this is literally a very important part of American music history, I think, this dude.
Yeah, I agree, and thanks for saying that. He truly is. He's probably one of the kindest, most giving people I've ever met. He's now, 74 years old and probably one of my best friends now. He's just somebody who, followed a passion. First it was music, and then he followed the passion of, selling guitars. And he sold, early on his career, guitars to George Harrison and Bob Dylan and many others. And, he's growing from a small business running out of his apartment to probably the world's most famous guitar shop. And it was a story that had to be told about a loving, caring man that has a passion for rare guitars.
So was this a friendship that you had before making the film, or how did you get into this?
Yeah, actually, I met his daughter. I've been a filmmaker for 20 years or so, and I met his daughter, early on in growing up, about 13 years old, and we had a great friendship. And I always loved Norman's store, obviously, and going in there was just jaw dropping, to say the least. And COVID hit, and I had no work, and I always wanted to do a documentary about his store. And he was like, "Hey, yeah, you should do a documentary, like a little 10-minute thing." And I was like, "Norm, there's just no way that's going to happen. Your legacy is 50 years almost, and you have a lot of stories and a lot of great things that you do here." And so, yeah, when COVID hit and I didn't have work, I just decided it was time, and we went ahead and started shooting, and here we are today.
Well, it's amazing. So the guy is a musician from Miami. I guess at first he finds a jazz bass, and he buys it for, very little money, and he sells it then. And then at one point, I think he gets an insurance settlement from something that's stolen for $1,200, and now he's got a little capital, and he starts realizing maybe he's onto something, right, Devin?
Exactly. That's exactly it. He bought a guitar. It broke in a car accident. He got a little bit of insurance money, and that's where it all started.
I want you to talk a little bit about Marlene, his wife, because she's an important part of this story, and she's a character, isn't she?
She's one of the best, and I love that you bring her up. Everybody loves her in the documentary, and yeah, she was pinnacle in Norm's selling guitars. You know, she came up with some really, really great ideas. You know, she in the documentary she talks about, you know, I had this idea of, you know, let's call people with horses because cowboys play guitar.
Yeah.
And that was just what a great idea. And that was really, really just a huge money maker for Norm, for him to find cheap guitars that nobody were playing anymore. And they were old, rare guitars that were probably in pretty good condition. And yeah, and she's amazing.
Oh, she is. She's really good. So he gets this little reputation. He's in L.A. because he relocates from Miami. He opens a shop, and then at one point, I don't even know if the friend was identified in the film, but somebody says, I got someone important, someone I'm going to bring over, and it happens to be a Beatle. You mentioned him before. George Harrison comes over, and that's one of the stories. And then all these other people start to visit the store. And it's really not just a store. It's a place where people go and share stories and play music and test the guitars and hang out. Right, Devin?
Yeah, 100%. It's, you know, Sean Stockman from Boys to Men says it great. He says, you know, it's a sweet hang. It's a place. It's a place for people to go and hang out and jam, talk about, stories of the past and the future, and get inspired because they're picking up a new guitar or a really old guitar, and they get inspired to make a new track, you know, and I go there all the time still just to hang out.
I want to go there. I've never been, and honestly, Devin, I'm sort of ashamed because I consider myself someone who knows a lot about music and music history, and I, was a music guy myself in the '80s that I didn't know about. And I've heard of the shop before, but I didn't know the story, and it was really, really cool. And you'll highlight the fact that Guitar Player Magazine does a piece on him, and that really takes him into another category because then vintage guitars. He's sort of the father of vintage guitars, isn't he?
100%. And another, his employee, John Tucci, says it really well in the documentary. He should be credited with, inventing the rare guitar store and that lifestyle of collecting. And it's the truth. It's an amazing story. You really should visit. Everybody should visit. It's a gem in LA, it's actually in the Valley, which is over the Hollywood sign. But it's always been in the Valley, and I grew up in the Valley, so I'm really excited that I got to do a documentary about the place I grew up, and everybody should visit. It's a really great experience.
It's on my list for sure. Norman's Rare Guitars is the name of the documentary. So I mentioned, as we bumped in with a band that most people probably don't even know, Devin, UFO, and I love Michael Schenker. One of the guitar players know Michael Schenker, but you featured this. It's this Amos 1958 Carina Flying V. I don't know if Michael Schenker played that version, but he loves the Flying V. But that featured guitar is $600,000. How does something like that become $600,000?
Well, Norman would be better at telling that story, but we do have a new YouTube channel called Norman's Rare Guitars Film, and we're putting out a whole bunch of outtakes and extras, and I'm actually going to be uploading exclusive material to that YouTube page, and the first video that's going up is Joe Bonamassa, who acquired that guitar, and tells the whole story. And he talks about what it's insured for and why it is that famous. So I'll leave it up to your viewers to go on YouTube and check out that interview, because he says it so elegantly and amazing. And that guitar is just one of the very, very few that were made. And at the time, people didn't understand that guitar. They were used to, Telecasters or older guitars, and that shape was just so new and so rare. They just made very few of them, and that's just the kind of small gist of the story. But it's that guitar is it's
that's
over
pretty
$500,000.
Cool. So one of the things that's cool about the YouTube channel, and I was unaware of that, but you feature clips in the film from some people that are really interesting. Like there's a very young Post Malone, when his name is not even Post. What's his original name? Like, what's his real name?
Austin.
Yeah, Austin. So he's in there, and he knows about norms, and I don't know how old he is, but he doesn't have any tattoos or anything like that. And then there's this guy. I'm a huge Marcus King guy, and one of the shop guys at Norm's Guitar Shop realizes that Marcus King might be something a little special. So he sits down, and he looks like a teenager. He starts playing, but listen when he sings. I've been drifting and drifting, baby. And that voice just blew them away in that shop. And Marcus King became I don't know if he's a big star, but people in the blues and the guitar world, they certainly know Marcus King, don't they, Devin?
100%. And you know, that video of Marcus King singing in the store is really what kickstarted his career. He like he says, he was already ready, or was already on his way to becoming, you know, a singer. But you know, we're lucky in a time where we can, you know, Norman can upload these videos to YouTube and really showcase up-and-coming talent. And that's what he did with Marcus King. When that video got uploaded to YouTube 6, 7, 8 years ago, it really helped Marcus a lot, because everybody, you know, commented on it, saw that video, shared it, it went viral, and it's amazing the platform Norman has created for up-and-coming artists.
It really is.
Marcus, yeah, it was just a great example of what a viral video can do for somebody.
I watched that video. It has now 1.8 million, and it deserves to have that because Marcus was incredible in that. There's, and damn you, I got to say, damn you, Devin, because you made me cry when I was watching the film. There's a great story about a young man by the name of Kyle Grady, and I don't want you to share his story because I think it would be awesome for people to experience it when they watch the movie, but Richie Sambor is involved in that, and you made me cry when you had to tell that part of the story, so damn you. That's what I say.
I'm sorry. You know, it's important for people to feel something when they're watching a film, and Norman, you know, he did something great, and hopefully everybody can watch that part and
yeah, it's really good.
Feel the same way you did. You know?
It's really good. Is Lenny Kravitz like the coolest dude on the planet? He has to be, right?
100%.
Yeah, okay. You've confirmed that. I don't think I need to ask anything more about that. Well, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for jumping on here because I really enjoyed the movie. I have such a passion for music. I talked about the Yacht Rock documentary a couple of weeks ago, which I think in its own right is really good. But this, and by the way, Devin, I noticed that this is your film. I mean, a lot of documentaries may have a director and an editor and all this, but you did most of this movie yourself, didn't you?
I did 100% everything you see. Shot it, edited it, filmed it. Asked the questions with my producing partner, Sarah, Norman's daughter. And, yeah, it's 100% mine, man.
Well, everything nice work. This movie needed to be made, and I think you know that. It's a guy that deserves a legacy. Is he in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Because if he's not, he should be.
He's on his way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Devin, and congratulations on a wonderful, wonderful film. It's on Netflix. And then for folks who don't have Netflix, it'll be streaming a little later in the spring elsewhere, right?
Correct. Worldwide around April.
Awesome. Thank you, Devin. Congratulations on a great project.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's such a great movie. Go see Norman's Rare Guitars.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
All right, well, we're doing some best ofs this week, but I have to toss in a Monday audio cut of the day from our friend Jasmine Crockett. JC, we're calling her now, down in Houston. She went to MICDS. She's a St. Louis native. I have no idea what she's saying here, but let her say it.
And that is actually what they are fearful of, is my authenticity, because it rings true with every single American, whether they're a Texan or not. It rings true that I am fighting for real everyday people. And instead of talking about policy, when you're talking about the record speaks for itself, baby, let's talk about your record. Because the only reason you're the vice president is because the current president tried to have his last president killed. Let's talk about qualifications.
She's talking about J.D. Vance.
What?
I don't even know what she's saying. I really, honestly, was it Joe Biden we were trying to kill? Trump's the one they were trying to kill, Jasmine. They tried to kill him twice. Yeah, exactly. So I'm a little confused by that.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident southbound 270, and it's just before 55. They've got the right lanes blocked, a lot of flashing lights on the scene, and this has really created a jam behind it. Right now it's back to Gravois. Now, we also have a little bit of volume, westbound 70 and eastbound for that matter. Right around Cave Springs, there was an incident reported there. But eastbound 64, just a little slow on either side of 170. And that's about it. We're great on the bridges downtown and quiet through North County. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Hey, let's talk about Michael's Baths, because this is a great local St. Louis company that can really do some amazing work for you in a complete remodel of your bathroom, or maybe you're just trying to upgrade the look a little bit, get rid of the grout and tiles. Mike Gower and his team will take great care of you. First of all, I want you to know they come in 30 to 50% less than the competition on a regular basis. If you mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk, they're offering you a free shower door or $500 off your project. So they're going to make sure that you have your project done exceptionally well and very customized and specific. For example, they're going to measure the most comfortable seat in your entire home so they know how high the seat in your new bath should be, custom for you. They have great products with 100% lifetime warranty on all the products, all American made. They do great work here in St. Louis. Mike has 30 plus years of experience in home remodeling, and all they do is bathrooms. Again, Michael's Baths, michaelsbaths.com, or call 636-775-0800. If you go to the website, or when you call, Melody, his daughter, will answer the call. Make sure you mention 97.1 FM Talk, because again, you get that free shower door offer or $500 off your project. And again, they come in 30 to 50% less on all the other bids as well. michaelsbaths.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions